What up, fam? Hit that like, hit that subscribe. This is A2D Wednesday nights. Going to talk Eagles Commanders with you. We're also going to preview the Sixers season and probably a second round exit. And, of course, Phillies will recap it. Come talk with us. What's up, my family? Listen, first-time listener, or you've been here the whole damn time. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, giddy up, let's go, no notes.
That's my baby. That's my baby.
We're going at it at 110%.
I just want 5 minutes of happiness, please. Just give me 5 minutes.
And they scored! They did it!
Slap.
What the hell was that?
Oh, yeah!
What the f*** are you talking about? Welcome in, everybody, to the misery. This is A2D Wednesday nights, only on A2D Radio. And every Wednesday night, we are brought to you by Royal Billiards. They're the premier game room store at Delaware Valley. Stocked with the very best in pool tables, accessories, shuffleboards, card tables, dart supplies, bars, bar stools. Turn any ordinary room into an extraordinary gaming experience. Oh, did we mention they have hot tubs too? Go check out Royal Billiard. They're located 515 Bethlehem Pike, and that's in Colmar, PA, or you can visit them right on the web, royalbilliard.com. And you can see it right on the bottom screen for everybody watching live. As always, Frank, Blake, Greg, Ryan, I'm Tom, everybody out there, welcome in. We'll get to the Phillies part of this, obviously, right? We'll get to the Phillies part of this at the end of the show, and we'll give our Phillies end of the year recap, which is disgusting to say right now. So that's your tease for how that's going to go. Because 24 hours later, I do not feel any bit better about. First of all, we'll get into it. Like, most resilient group I've ever seen. That's a lie. That's a lie. So another group that's not resilient. Sixers 2023 season predictions. Sixers tip off tomorrow night in Milwaukee, 7:30. Big game. No Harden. We'll talk about him and everything that's wrapped around this Sixers season. But our main topic at hand, circle back to the 6-1 Philadelphia Eagles and through this cute little, and I say cute, this cute little dancing of my own little run the Phillies went on. All right. They just went right under you and made a big time move to put themselves in a position to get back to a Super Bowl. And that's our poll question. And our poll question is brought to you by Gleason's Bar. They're located 6700 Mill Creek Avenue. You can find them in Levittown, PA. Use promo code A2D for 10% off your order whenever you dine in, take out, or online. Gleason'sBarandSteaks.com. Our poll. Kevin Byard is the missing link to an already great defense. Do you agree or disagree? And you can let us know. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. That's where we're live. And everywhere you get your podcasts, we're there as well. Hit the like, subscribe, follow. Most importantly, join the conversation like we always say. You know, we knew what this team was missing, right, on the defensive side of things. And, you know, that's better than Budda Baker, in my opinion. I mean, Kevin Byard plays with a sense of toughness. He's a Philly kid. You're bringing another guy back home. You're literally robbing the Tennessee Titans of impact players. So it's a great time in terms of, if you scroll through any Titans social medias, it's a great time reading the fans' reactions to all this. But we got a lot better, and it was a huge need. And the other side of it is you gave up nothing, right? In reality, you gave up nothing. So, you know, I look at this poll in terms of getting back to a Super Bowl with a chance to win one, right? You know, I don't want to say any player is going to win you a Super Bowl single-handedly, right? That's hard to say outside of, like, you know, a great quarterback play, right? So, but can it get you back? Because taking this back gives you that 50-50 chance of winning one. So I always feel like if I'm in the dance, I got a chance to win the dance. So I do think that's the piece. I agree. I think he's the missing link. This defense has been lights out, right? And the numbers speak for it. And what they were able to accomplish against Miami with 2 backup safeties in the football game. And then you go out and you get yourself an impact safety, right? I mean, how can you not be? How can you not be ecstatic that we have a general manager in this city that is always ultra aggressive? He's always ultra aggressive. And that's in acquiring picks and dishing out picks, right? And he's willing to make the moves necessary to keep during this window here for us to win. You know, windows don't stay open forever. We know this, guys, right? I mean, we got to be fair to the windows. right? You probably get 4 or 5 year windows, right? Last year was year one of that window, in my opinion. That's like year one where your roster was legit enough to say, okay, we can contend here. This is year two. So to go out in year two, not waste any time in this, and say, we're trying to win Super Bowls right now. We're trying to get back there right now, right? It feels good. It feels good to know because we've talked about misery on this. We talked about misery with the Eagles, misery with Howie. We've done all this. It feels good to say, my guy, he's going to go make a move if we need him to make a move. They think that? Like he's playing Madden, essentially. But we're sitting here like hoping, right? And usually hope for guys and you never get them, right? Like usually that's how it goes. Like, oh, man, I would love Kevin Byard. I said that a million times watching Kevin Byard play, that I would love him on my football team. So for my GM to go out and say, hey, Tom, heard you. I heard you, babe. Like it makes me feel good, guys. So I agree. You know, that's where I'll end it. And we'll see from here how it goes. But hopefully he plays Sunday. I know there's been some reports leading up to it that, you know, they think he will. Like they think he'll pick up on stuff fast enough to be able to be here. And AJ probably gave him a playbook 2 weeks ago. You know, this is like Kansas City, I feel. Everybody's calling everybody. All right, boys. Go ahead.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. It's funny when I initially saw that the trade went down. It wasn't even excitement at first. It was like, oh, the Titans are still allowing this to happen with Howie. Like the NFL hasn't overruled this, right? It's like, oh, the Titans, you enjoy getting nothing for your best players, right? And like Terrell Edmonds, the fact that like, oh, we could just like excuse him. It's like, okay, we're good. We can move on from you. It's kind of a bonus. I absolutely agree. We knew that they were going to have to make a move at safety, right? Like Sidney Brown, we think is eventually going to be a good player, but he's a rookie, right? Like Terrell Edmonds stinks. Justin Evans is hurt. Like you had to make a move. You made a move like this last August with Gardner Johnson. And I don't think it's a hot take. I think we would all agree. Kevin Byard's a better player than Gardner Johnson was at the time. So I completely, I think it's, to your point, Tom, I would say like, oh, we've been saying for a while, especially you, like, hey, I would like Kevin Byard. I feel like Kevin Byard's name has been mentioned and tied to the Eagles for about 2 years now, right? So it's only a matter of time. It was him and Budda Baker every single year, right? So the fact that we can bring him in, and then when you talk about just like, obviously it helps having a good quarterback, offensive, defensive line play, good coach. Like there's things that we know like a Super Bowl caliber team needs to have. One thing that you need to be on the right side of, we saw this obviously at Super Bowl 52 and that whole season, you have to be able to cause turnovers for your opponent, right? Like you have to be on that side. Right now,
we're very bad at that, right? Right now, you know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We're -2 in that department right now in the turnover differential, right? So like, and obviously part of that is because the quarterback's got to kind of clean that stuff up, but that's not Kevin Byard's situation. But Kevin Byard in the last 2 seasons has had 9 interceptions, 9. So that's tremendous, right? So to pair him along with everything else that you have on defense and getting to the quarterback, and a defense that has been anything but healthy for the first 5-6 weeks, I'm incredibly excited about it. Howie Roseman wins again, right? Because it's like, oh, we just gave the Tennessee Titans their pick back, right? It's almost like they didn't even know about it. You throw a player in there and then just like a random other pick for somebody who was one of the best available players, not only this season, but last season. I think it's awesome. I think it's awesome. And whether he plays this week or next week, I have no doubts that he's going to have immediate impact whenever he does see the field.
Yeah, for sure. Greg, you want to go?
Yeah. I will. I'll disagree with the poll, and it's not in a bad way, right? Like I love the deal, I love the trade, especially with the injuries in the back half. It's definitely something that we need. I just think that we're already a really good championship caliber defense, and I just think he plugs a hole, not necessarily is quote unquote the missing link, right? With our front line and our veteran cornerbacks. We did run into some issues and injuries in the safeties. Obviously, Reed's out, for a couple of weeks. Sidney Brown had been out. Terrell Edmonds, as you said, Ryan, Justin Evans, hurt or stink, right? So it was a lot to ask of 2 young safeties in Blankenship and Brown when they're healthy to be, the back half of a championship winning team, right? So while he is coming in, I think there's a lot of pieces around him that will allow him to just be him, but doesn't have to necessarily make him the missing link.
Yeah, but okay, there's my devil's advocate to you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you talk playing the last game of the season in any sport, teams are going to find your warts.
Sure.
Right? Especially in football where there's so much, play design, etc., to try to beat teams. So a team's going to try to find what you're not good at. Right? And what we're not good at right now is the back end of our defense, per se. That's our least strengthful thing. And then you could say maybe linebacker, depending, maybe, right? And the rest.
You're probably right, though, ranking-wise.
Yeah, like defensive line's obviously number one. And then you can make an argument like, okay, who's two? Is it our secondary? Is there corners? Probably our corners, and then linebackers, and then safeties. So, but the safeties are like way under the linebackers. Like I could find something else, like a coordinator that I could put the side for, like over the safeties, because that's how inept it's been. And I don't say that like they haven't been decent. Like they've been decent, but if you imagine if you put a stud back there.
Yeah.
Like now he can show his colors a little bit. And that's where I think that like when you're playing that last game of the season, where teams are going to really try to expose you and be able to accomplish that. That's what worries me. Now, this past week, whatever. You got to the Dolphins, you won a football game. They did, it wasn't like they didn't put the greatest show on turf against you. So you could say leaving it like, oh, our safeties were good enough. But like they probably weren't.
No, you're right.
You know what I mean? They probably weren't.
I also to that point also, I like what Sean Desai's done in kind of masking what, putting the safeties on islands, right? Providing, coverage help and stuff like that to where they aren't as, to your point, they aren't as squeaky wheel as they might seem on paper, right? He does, he seemed to do a lot of good disguises in coverage and defense to allow them to be somewhat weak in the back end, as you correctly pointed out.
Yeah, I was just trying to look for a reason to say.
No, you're absolutely
extremely positive and talk about the last game of the season. Frank,
let's talk it into existence. I'm here for
it. For me, I also agree to the poll. I mean, Howie, you're a freaking pimp, Howie. Trade for Kevin Byard for basically nothing, and you have that opportunity to hold on to Kevin Byard for another few years, depending on his free agent situation. So having that possibility of bringing Byard back for the next couple of years down the road, I think that's going to be very interesting to see down the line. But with that, I would say at the beginning of the season, safeties were concerned. You don't know what you're going to get with both Reed Blankenship and Sidney Brown as your starters. Justin Evans, guy. Terrell Edmonds, just a guy. But seeing Byard there adds that little veteran leadership, little to help out those young guys in Reed and Sidney. So I think this is going to be a fun watch when Byard's going to take the field, and can't wait to see down the line. And I really hope Howie does more and help this team out, win a Super Bowl.
Well, SJM thinks he will do more.
Oh, I hope
he seems to think he's not done, and he might not be done, right? And if he's not done, that's fine. I don't have pressing needs.
Yeah,
my pressing need is my quarterback not turning the football over. So I mean, that's my pressing need. I don't look at this roster and have now with Kevin Byard and have as many pressing needs. I think Eli. We'll get into all of it, but I think Eli Ricks has played well. In his short time. So Bradley Roby will be back, who's a good slot guy. You're not going to go upgrade your outside guys. You're paying them a lot of money. So, I mean, listen, you get Surtain for pennies, sure. But, you're probably not looking at the cornerback position. They're looking at stuff. It's probably, like SJM said, another defensive lineman, because they're always looking for those guys. And, maybe a running back. Like, I mean, that's it, man. They don't have those holes throughout their roster like they did at the safety position. Maybe a linebacker, but that's not their MO. And Cunningham's played good, and the Kobe's played good. So, I mean, how can, that just goes on those. Everybody, he's hurt again. Well, he came back and he's played pretty well. As the guy who's calling the signal call for a defense, I mean, that even means more to how you're playing. So, there's a lot of good things.
He's playing good enough to keep Morrow off the field. And Morrow played well when Nakobe was out. You know what I'm
He was
saying?
getting
Like,
11 or
Moore
12
almost didn't
tackles
make
a
the
night.
team. Moore almost didn't make the team, and he's like, "Oh wait, you guys were going to cut me? Watch this."
Well, he did get cut.
Oh yeah, and they brought him back.
And they brought him back.
They cut him and they brought him
Yeah.
back.
And then he
He
started
went
having
through waivers. Nobody wanted him.
And then he had 11 tackles a game.
Yeah, that was fun.
And a guy still came and took your job. Blake, do you agree or disagree to the poll?
Yeah, I agree to it. And what can I say? Howie the man does it again. I'm starting to think now this is like the gift that keeps on giving. And again, like everybody has said, like Greg said, and everybody else has said on there, you got him basically for nothing. And, I think he can only add, a more strong presence than we already have on this defense as it is. But like I said, I know we were kind of a little weak in the secondary, with the safeties. But yeah, I mean, I think if anything, this is going to be a good move, and hopefully, Sean Desai, puts him in the right spots, and just puts him in a position where he can succeed. And I think see nothing but all pro years with this guy for hopefully the next 2 to 3 years down the line, and hopefully they can lock this guy up for the long term down the line as well. All I can say is, any safety help is better than not saying that Justin Evans and Terrell Evans can't get it done. It's just when you get a guy of this caliber, can't pass it up. And like I said, Howie just continues to make one big move after another, and hopefully this is one of these key moves that we can look back on, down the line for making this Super Bowl run. It's that deal that he made back on October. What was the date on the trade?
23rd, maybe.
Was it 23rd? Okay. So, we'll look back on the 23rd and say, look at that deal he made, to bolster up the secondary and the defense. So, yeah,
you went on the back end too. I can't go unnoticed. Yeah, you went up front. You got to get pressure, but what helps getting pressure is things locked up on the back end. So that's like a takes two to tango thing, right? And last year they were great on the back end, right? Which obviously they were great on the front end too. But when both are in sync like that, and you're getting lockdown coverage, right? That ties into your pass rush. So if I'm getting that extra second, right, where you don't have somewhere to go with the football with this defensive front, that's a problem. That's a problem. So it's already a great front if you put Joe Schmoes back there. They're still gonna do their thing, but you give them a little extra time. That second more. I mean, Jalen Carter might have 100 sacks if you give him a second more every time. He's beating up everybody in front of him. Hassan Reddick playing like a madman. Josh Sweat's playing great. Like, you know what I mean? So, I mean, our front, Jordan Davis playing great. Like, guys are getting after you. So now you put a guy in the back end that's a ball hawk and a cover guy, and he'll come down and smack you in the mouth. I mean, that's a home run. That's not even like, oh, that's a good deal, Howie. That's a great deal. Even if you don't win a Super Bowl, at the end of the day, that's a great deal for a fourth and a fifth and a back and a football and Terrell Edmonds. I mean, Terrell Edmonds fine. He's a fine backup player, but if he's an everyday starter for 17 weeks, there's a reason Pittsburgh said we're good. And I agree with Tom on the lot. So, this is big time. This is big time. This isn't just like, oh, you went and signed a good safety. No, you went and signed an all-pro caliber safety. One of the leaders of that Tennessee defense.
At the very least, Tom, if it doesn't, end up with a Super Bowl ring or anything like that, it's a good deal for the next 6 weeks. Because if you not to play the schedule game, right? Because it's one game at a time. But you look at some of the teams that we're facing over the next month or so, you're going to find out really quick how good the secondary is because it's going to get challenged.
Oh, big time, right? Big time.
For sure.
And I would love to see another, hands up on the star, down in Dallas.
Oh, it'd be epic.
Yeah, another guy that Dak does not like to see, Mr. Kevin Byard.
Tom Freeze.
I think he...
Or is he doing that TikTok challenge from 2019?
The mannequin challenge.
Challenge. There you go. There you go. I forgot. Good for you.
We'll cue the Black Beatles and we good to go.
Well, I looked up his contract, right? So he is signed through the end of 2024. So it's the end of next year. Now his contract does drastically go up. He goes to $9.6 million next year with a cap hit of 14. So obviously, naturally, there's going to, which you probably would assume with Howie, just comes a restructure.
Yeah.
Right.
I think that's going to be the plan.
So you
Howie
probably get a
being Howie.
Tom's computer froze.
Tom will be back, everybody. His computer literally just was like, "Oh no, I'm done for the day." So
you assume with Howie, this comes with an extension and a restructure, right?
Yeah.
He's 30 years old. Probably gets him another 2 or 3 years on the deal, and allows you to groom, Blankenship and Reed. Or I'm sorry, it's the same person. Blankenship and Brown.
We got
slower.
Ed Reed back. What?
Ed Reed Blankenship.
Ed Reed Blankenship.
Real quick on like the Howie front too, because I know like the people were like mentioning names in the chat and everything. There he is. Like automatically you see like, okay, the Titans are having a fire sale, and now like Derrick Henry's name comes out, of course, right? Because he's like one of the only, him and like Jonathan Simmons, I would say, are the two like most valuable. I guess you could put Hopkins in there too. Left on the Titans. And then immediately it's like, oh, well, the Eagles should trade for Derrick Henry as well. We've done this so many times before. And maybe I'm completely wrong with this, right? Like if Howie does it, I'm not going to be like, no, for the sheer entertainment value, I'll probably be like, okay, that's cool. And so I see probably what we gave up for him. But it's like we barely keep DeAndre Swift on the field enough. You know what I'm saying? It's like we have running backs that we have as healthy scratches. Now, they're not Derrick Henry.
Right.
Right, but it's like I feel like we have other needs than like exhausting resources for Derrick Henry. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
No, I'm good on Henry. I'm not gonna not take him, but
if they want to do like
I don't think the Titans don't want to get played again. So,
well, maybe they do. They keep coming back. They keep coming back to Uncle Howie.
Yeah, which is important.
Yeah, and I to your point, Ryan, I see like the need for a running back, and I'm like, do we need a running back? Like we have and I'm not saying not that he's any good, but like we have Rashad Penny like in street clothes every week.
He's not even on the run.
I think we're doing an okay job running the football right now. Now, granted, Swift has had issues staying healthy, but we'll cross that bridge when that happens.
I think that's why we signed Rashad Penny though, as like, hey, you have injury troubles too. Let's make sure one of you are healthy by week 11.
Yeah.
Like we won't even put you in uniform just in case you get injured getting put into the uniform.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not going to help you in the red zone. Like your red zone issues are bigger than your running game. You know what I mean? So I don't look at it as like, oh, that's that big help in the red zone situation. You know what's a big help? Don't call QB draws on 3rd and goal from the 9. So I mean, there's other ways to help your red zone offense. I'll look for a more explosive back down there than I'm looking for a power back, because I get down to the 1, I'm scoring anyway.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I've had my share of, not like Derrick Henry's a stud, but I've had my share of like it's been said before. You get him with your up front guys. He ain't running nobody over. Like it's the back end guys. It's the back end guys that don't want to tackle him. That's why he has such monster runs. I mean, he's damn good. I'm not like taking a shot at him. I'm just saying like he's not a guy who's going to run through and just start breaking a million defensive lineman tackles. Just not. It's not. He's big and strong, but he just doesn't.
And guys, we all know that even if they traded for Derrick Henry and we get into a red zone situation, they're still going to have Kenny Gainwell on the field. They're still going to do this Kenny Gainwell thing, which, like, granted, sure, it worked last week, cool, right? But it's like they can't even keep DeAndre Swift on the field in the red zone. They got to put in a backup, so they'll end up doing the same thing regardless of who they trade for.
That's pretty cool. That Blankenship and Buyer are both Middle Tennessee alums.
Yuck.
Oh, I didn't know that. Sorry,
as one who goes to the rival school of Middle Tennessee, yuck, but awesome. Glad to see the small schools getting love.
Yeah, Jacob, he probably does have more stuff up his sleeve, because that's what good general managers do, right? They're not just going to have, they're not just going to have they're going to be on the phone. They're going to be making calls. They're going to be, seeing who's available. What do they need? Talking to their coaching staff. Good general managers doing it all the way up until the deadline with stuff like that.
For sure.
So this is what we have. What's what we have here.
You know what I did see, and it might have been on a comment on one of the A2D posts, but it was something about how Zach Ertz, what if they went out and got Zach Ertz? Because apparently, Arizona dropped Zach Ertz on the depth chart. There's another tight end that passed him, right? A younger guy or something. Which nostalgia factor, that's fun. But it took us I feel like we'd be in a similar situation, right? We already have trouble getting Dallas Goedert the ball at times, right? And then it's Devonta and all that stuff, which it's a good problem to have when you have that many weapons. I don't know, if they gave him up for a 6th round pick, maybe, but I feel like that's kind of unnecessary.
Yeah, I'm not looking at tight end as a thing I need. Again, not against it.
Yeah.
Not against it. You want to get deeper somewhere, right? Dallas gets hurt every year. So, I'm not opposed to it. I try not to go back to guys I've had, but at least the guy who's a good route runner, maybe can help you in the red zone a little bit. Not the player he was, obviously, and that's my biggest concern on going backwards with guys is that if you traded for a guy like that, he's automatically going to be expected to, the Zach Ertz are old. That's
his
not
old self.
Yeah, and that's not fair to him, right? So, he had a great run here. He's a hell of a player. He's a Super Bowl champion. But I don't want to put those expectations on a guy that's on the downside of his career now because he's older. So just to be fair, but could he help you? Sure. You know what I mean? Yeah, we have a lot of guys to get the ball to. That being said, I'm also not against, depth. We had a guys get the ball to before we signed Julio. You know what I mean? So, that just makes you better longer. Is he better than Jack Stoll at this point? If he's better, then yeah, I'll make the move. You know what I mean? Because he's going to get he might get a little bit more action, and you give Dallas a little bit more breathers here and there when you can to try to keep him fresh. So I'm never against stuff like that. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to go backwards though. That's my gripe on it more. Is I don't like going backwards more than I wouldn't take the player because we're realists. So we'll be okay, we know what we're getting. Other people are going to expect 100 catch Zach. No, obviously, Josh Dobbs' best friend's probably going to be the tight end. So, if he's falling down the depth chart now, I mean that's Gannon's depth chart. So he who fucking knows? But he's also not coming here and being electric. Could he be very good for us at times and help us here and there? Maybe. I think any backup that's better than what you have can bring you value, right?
I just think it would be weird. On top of what you had said, Tom, where it's oh, Zach Ertz is going to be 2018 all over again. He's going to break the record. And every time there's a game and they don't get Zach Ertz the ball, it's oh, why'd you trade for him? And it's well, you wanted them to trade for him. It's fine. But go ahead, Greg.
No, I was going to say, it's people, bitched and moaned about his no yak Zach. You think him being older is going to be...
his legs aren't going to get quicker or more sturdy. It's going to get worse. So Jack Stoll, the little role that he has is that he's a really good blocking tight end. You know what Zach Ertz doesn't do? Block ever.
No,
so
when he was 20,
let's not do that.
Yeah, he didn't want to get his beak wet at 25. What makes you
think so it's probably let's not do the Zach Ertz.
Yeah, we're not going to want to get our beak wet at 34. So
that's absolutely not.
That's just 101. We're going to get in our score predictions here in a second. But yeah, a lot of great comments rolling in here. Bill, that would make Dallas better if they got Henry, of course, but it doesn't make him better against us because we always shut his ass down. So, that's where I've always, anytime I watch Derrick Henry versus the Eagles, we've got the better of that matchup. So, but definitely, yeah, it would make them better. Any team that gets additions that are damn good football players or real good ones, they get better. They obviously get better.
I'm hoping for. I think he would make sense on the Ravens or the Browns, especially since the Browns lost Chubb.
Yeah, Browns is probably a better fit for him.
Yeah.
You know, I
feel
feel
like,
like
and plus every Ravens running back like gets hurt like in 5 seconds, so maybe he doesn't want to go to Baltimore.
yeah, you don't want to go to Baltimore, but you do want to go. That other place would be a good place. You know, Cleveland plays great defense. So when you play great defense like that, you sort of want and need that running game to feel like you're complete. So that actually makes a lot of sense.
And it'll be very familiar with Derrick Henry because Derrick Henry's just not playing with a good quarterback at all. So it'll be perfect. Even though the not so good quarterback had not played in like 3 weeks, so it's actually fine.
Martian's got a lot up his sleeve here. I feel like Howie surprised us with Chandler Jones or Daniel Hunter kind of trade, Bobby Wagner perhaps. I would probably.
I could see Danielle Hunter as a possible.
I said Danielle. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Danielle. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Chandler Jones is old, right? Hunter's a good player. Is Minnesota trying to move on from him? Right? Is he still with Minnesota?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, you know, they just won a football game, a big one. Like, where are they at? What are they thinking? Do they still think they can win a division? You know what I mean? So it's still early for a team like that.
Have they won 3 straight, Minnesota?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
No,
So
I think they might stay. I think they might just stick around.
And
that's my thought with Bobby Wagner too in Seattle. Like Seattle's still, you know.
Well, no, isn't he with the Rams, or did he go back to Seattle?
I think he's like more in like a mentorship role with Seattle. I feel like.
Did he go back there? Okay.
I think so.
No, I mean that's fine. I mean he's too old for me. I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good. I feel good with what I have there. But Jones or Hunter, you know what I mean? Sure. Anywhere you can feel like you're upgrading or making yourself deeper, I'm not against. Yes, Philly Liverpool. We're going to talk Sixers opening tomorrow and a little preview after we get through our Eagles predictions. Take a quick time out, and then we'll get to our Sixers talk. Chandler Jones got arrested for DWI, so he's not the type of fit here, in my opinion.
There's so many Jones brothers. I forgot which one Chandler was.
I thought that, and I didn't want to assume. I didn't want to be like, is that the one who just? I didn't want to because I didn't want to be wrong. I'm like, I'll just leave it alone.
Throwing out Aaron Hernandez stuff online.
We might. He's the one who went live on Twitter, right, or Instagram, and he would. Yeah, I was like, I think that's him, but I don't know.
Yeah, they're not bringing. That's not their style.
No, especially not trading for him. Yeah.
Bill says, "What's your opinion on why there's so much talk about Jalen Mills coming back?" Says the Eagles being rumored in every trade. I don't know because I still feel like they're looking for help. You know what I mean? They're looking to be a little deeper, but so that's all I look at it.
Are those rumors still out there about Mills? I almost feel like that it was probably like a plan B or plan C if they weren't able to scoop Byard. You know what I mean? If the asking price for Byard was too much.
Yeah, I saw some stuff today, but I don't.
Oh, is it still out there?
Maybe
that means Reed is hurt more than we know.
Yeah, and I think that's where they're thinking because he's like 3-4 weeks, with the rib, in my opinion. Not a doctor.
Did he practice today, Frank? I saw the practice report came out. I didn't read it though.
Who is this?
Reed Blankenship.
Blankenship.
Can Jalen play in the slot?
Maybe he might be too old for the slot though.
Yeah, that's the only thing I thought of. It's like, okay, maybe it's for that.
Full participant.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I thought he was going to be out for some time with that. Guess they're not taking it easy on him.
See, that was gonna be my one question. Like, how old is Jalen still, and can he still do it? If like you were considered to bring him back, but does he got anything left?
Well, he's still starting and playing for New England on their defense. Their defense is pretty decent.
Yeah, he's only 29.
Yeah, he's young.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I didn't know.
Is that all he is?
If he was in his
29.
Oh, feels like he's older. He'd be older than that.
So yes, would I take him back? Sure.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's, again, you're upgrading a spot. You're upgrading your safety position even deeper, right? So,
EC1. If the Titans did that, they should fold the franchise.
They might just trade Barnett to him just to give him to him.
Chip, please
Just take him.
give Nolan Smith the snaps. You got
So
a
I mean,
sack.
listen,
Congrats.
listen, guys. I'll take anybody that makes us better. You know what I mean, and fits what we're trying to accomplish here. So I'm open for business on anything. But this football team's really good. They're 6-1. They just won a big game on Sunday night, and we've done all that by turning the football over at an alarming rate. So it's pretty good to be an Eagles fan and know, hey, I'm 6-1, and I haven't even played my best football yet. So here we go with a game this coming Sunday, 1:00, Eagles Commanders down in Washington. So what Eagles team do we get? Do you get a team that just won a big game, and lets an inferior opponent stay in a football game with them? So interesting week. Interesting week for sure. We'll give our score predictions, offense, defensive players of the game, and obviously we want yours. And if you nail the score, you get $200 Venmo, Cash App, whatever you got. But your tiebreaker, if you tie with somebody else, is offense, defensive player of the game. So let us know. Chime in. We'll give you ours. The score is weird because, again, you're just coming off a big win. They stink. But they got leaders that are mad in that locker room. So I don't know if that gets them, ready to play. It's the Eagles. I would assume that they're ready to play. They always play us tough. It's ridiculous. We should go beat their ass. Sam Howell's been sacked more times than most quarterbacks get sacked in 4 years. So, part of that's him and part of that's his line. So we'll see if we can create that pressure. I think I'm going to go similar to what sort of similar to what I thought last week. And I'm going to say, I'm going to go a little higher of it, not a 3-point deficit, but a 10. I'm going to go 31-21 Eagles. I think it's a game you should win by double digits. And go put 30 up on somebody again. So that's what I want to keep saying.
It should be a pretty convincing win. And not that you didn't say that, because we all have recognized it. It just gets weird when we play this team. It just gets really friggin' weird. Also, completely side note, I believe this is the Eagles' final 1:00 game of the year, which is weird to say in November.
Arizona, I think Arizona is a 1:00 game.
Oh, okay. So
yeah, Arizona's 1:00.
Okay, so one of the last. I'm gonna go with listen, who knows what to make of the Jalen Hurts injury? We just know it's something, right? Now, that's not why I have it being a close game. I just think it's divisional. Like you said, Tom, they're pissed off. I'm going to go with a win, but I'm going to have a little bit close. Give me 26-20 Eagles.
Just for reference sake, Eagles minus 6.5, 43.5.
So they're a 10-point favorite on the road.
Essentially. Yep.
So
absolutely. Yep. They couldn't move the football last week on the Giants, right? And I know the Giants always kind of play them tough as well, right? All division games tend to be tough with the NFC East. I don't see us having as many issues with them this week as we did a couple weeks ago, right? A couple weeks ago, we saw firsthand what why am I blanking on the guy's name? Offensive coordinator.
Brian Johnson.
No. I'm sorry.
The enemy?
Eric. We saw firsthand what Eric Bieniemy was going to do against our defense, right? So now we have that tape. I think our defense comes to play. I think even if Byard plays limited snaps, half the snaps, I think he's going to bring a boost to that defense. I'm pretty close to Tom. I'm going to go 28-17. 28-17 Eagles.
Nice.
Frank?
For me, I'm gonna go 30-13 Eagles on this one.
Nice. I'll be comfortable.
That'd be real nice.
If the Eagles get home against Sam Howell, which Tom, like you said, he's the number one sack quarterback in the NFL right now. It's going to be that kind of score. That's how it should be.
Yeah. But the weird thing is with this team is you throw all the numbers out the window when you play.
Mhm.
That's the weird part. Like people are all over the line, like, oh, we might sack them 10 times. And I'm like, well, in my head, I'm
So
like,
that means we're sacking them once.
I know how this plays out. Just like, oh, there's no shot Arizona comes in and beats us twice. Heard that so many times that it sold me on that couldn't happen. When in reality, deep down, like Greg knows, I said I had it 7, and I felt like it was going to go, and I felt like if you let them play in it, they could beat you. So here we are with that.
There's no way we could spend $800 million and only have 3 runs at home in the final 2 games. There's no way.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a little bit. Blake, what's your score?
Well, I know last time when I was on here, I said it was going to be a close game when it's always Eagles and Commanders, and it proved to be true because of what going to overtime and ended up being an exciting finish. But I think this time, I don't think it's going to be the same game. I agree with a lot of you guys. I think it's going to be a comfortable victory this time around because the Washington's a mess. Like you said, like Greg said, they couldn't even score, against the Giants. They couldn't even move the ball against them. I don't expect anything different in this one. I say Eagles win easily, 38-17.
Oh,
I would
be
love
delicious
that.
On a Saturday.
And again, that's
Sunday after.
Yeah, but that in reality, that's what it should be.
No, you're absolutely.
Like you should go down there and you should be curb stopping some Commanders, right? You shouldn't go down and be in a dogfight. For whatever reason, every time we play them, it's a dogfight. Now that being said, when we've played them down there in the past, we've had a tendency to roll their asses. We've had more of a tendency over time to roll them there than here. For whatever reason, they play as tough at the link. Down there, they don't play us as tough. It's very strange. Probably because their ballpark. I'm so filled up. Probably because their stadium. Probably because their stadium's a freaking shithole. So they don't play us as well there. So to everybody out there and Frank and Blake, I only have a 10-pointer and Greg's just around me too. But everybody out there that has big scores, like I can see it. I'm just scared to go there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I know Philly and I know how we usually match up versus them. But in reality, all these scores is where it should be. So maybe not this one, CL. I think that's a little aggressive. Probably won't get that far.
Is this Noah? Is that Noah?
Marsh, at the end of the show. Phillies are at the end of the show. So we'll get to them soon. We probably got a good 45 left in us. So we're going to get to them soon. We're going to go over our offense, defensive players of the game for Eagles Commanders. And then we're going to take a quick timeout. We'll come back and we'll preview a second round exit for the Sixers. And then we'll get into the Phillies. So we're here, baby. We're here. Offensive player of the game. Jesus, you almost wanted to just go AJ.
Wouldn't blame you.
He's unstoppable.
Can he go 6 weeks? Can he go 6 weeks?
Probably can.
Yeah, this got to be this got to be a Devonta game then, in my opinion. Give me. Now they might be going for records and etc. I get that, but give me Devonta. He's due. I see people say, "Oh, he can't catch anymore." Like, fucking stupid. But
two people tell me that today. Oh, something going on with it. Why? Because he's dropped 2 for the first time in his career. Like, it's fine. He doesn't like the cold. Like it's well documented. He doesn't like the cold. It's getting colder.
He does not like the cold.
No, he's on tape saying that numerous times.
Well, Sunday's gonna be a nice day. So Sunday's gonna be a nice day. Up north here. So listen, I expect him to go over 100 and give me 2 touchies. Give me 2 touchies. He's due for a big game, right?
Sure
we talked
is.
about AJ. AJ's got his. Now you know how they operate. They like to shovel it out. If these scores come to fruition, both guys could go
Everybody's
over 100.
eating. Everybody's
So this might be just a buffet of the end zone. It's a team that hasn't been good in the red zone. Better last week. You could see them really having an explosion in the red zone this week. They're due for that explosion. You know what I mean? So I'm going to keep my score, but I'm saying you could see that explosion. 31 points, is a lot of points. Guys are scoring touchdowns. So I think that's where they're at, and they're a 30-point team, even though they turn the football over way too much. So yeah, I expect that to get cleaned up. Whatever Jalen's injury is, that I don't know why it's like we're dealing with the CIA over here all of a sudden, and we can't just tell us, But whatever it is, I'm not gonna, that's just what they do. Hush hush. So when you're hush hush, it's like you don't want to tell somebody so they don't go after it. Well, they already know it's the knee.
Yeah.
I mean, I already know. So you could like enlighten us on what he's dealing with instead of this quiet, like he's so tough. Like we know he's tough, dude. We don't need to be sold on every fucking thing the guy does. Like this is what gets me tired. This will get me tired and annoyed, right? Like love Bryce Harper, but like guys are like, oh no way he'll let us lose. Well, he was a part of why we lost. So I mean,
one guy.
These guys aren't superheroes. Like my point is, like they're not superheroes.
Yeah.
We don't have to make them bigger than they are. They're human beings and they're great athletes. So at the end of the day, we don't have to be like he's the toughest guy in America. Look how tough he is playing through an injury. Like most great athletes are tough, dude. Like Harper played through comeback from a UCL fast guy ever. Like guys are tough. I don't need to be sold on their toughness. Like you better be tough.
Everybody's hurt right now.
Yeah, like you better be tough. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to hear toughness when it comes to my football players. If you're not tough and you're throwing tampons in all the time, then I can't play you. Like guess what? You won't play in this sport. And no shot at my ladies. Like go kick field goals, but you ain't playing in this sport unless you're the toughest person, one of the tougher people walking around. You're just not. You're not going to make it at that level. As physical and as fast as it is, if you're a Mr. Softy, your career don't last long. So it makes me. I don't care. I know Jalen's tough. I don't need the sell. I hate being sold. Like I get sold on Harper. Like I don't need to sell on him. Like he's a great quoter. It's great. It's great. It's great. Biggest spot of the season. It ain't Bedlam at the bank. Right? Happens. They're human beings. They can happen. I'm not taking a shot at them. Like my point is like these guys are human. We don't need the extra. Like he'll never let us lose. Like okay, well he did. He was in the biggest spot of the game. He was up. He was a part of it. He was a part of why our four guys didn't hit. He was a part of that. Even though he hit a ball in the screws and almost is cute. In game 7s, you almost won when you don't win. That's how that goes. Unless you get boat race like Houston, like then you almost won. But them too had chances to win that series when it goes 7. You can look back and find things. So like that's all. He's hurt. Cool. Is he playing? Then I expect him to perform at a high level. That's how I look at that. Sorry, that was my whole rant to get there. Like I don't give a shit about the extra. Can he play? Okay, he's playing. He's a participant in practice. Okay, then he needs to go perform at a $255 million level. Because they're building an excuse. Right? Like, real quick, it's a building excuse. It's like, oh, he doesn't play well. He's banged up. Well, you told me he's the toughest guy in America.
The whole secret thing, like, I don't know if they're trying to be like mini Belichick, right? It's like, oh, we see what they do. We want to do the same thing, like the Alabama. Like, who the hell knows, right? And at the end of the day, if they're winning football games, like they can play whatever secret little CIA thing they ever want to do. But it's again, I have no damn clue, right? What the injury is, when it was, but it screams to me, it's like a small tear in the knee from when that knee buckled against the Rams, when he broke that tackle and his knee went that way, and we were like, oh my God, he's still up. Like it's obvious that's what it is. So just say, hey, he's got something going on with the knee. He's playing through it. Doesn't need immediate surgery, and that's it. And he's gonna wear a brace so it doesn't. Like it's it. Like it's football. It happens. But like the whole thing of like, it wasn't in this game, and he's got a little something going on, but I'm not going to disclose. Okay, so if he pops up on an injury report, you're going to have to disclose, right? Like I don't know. Who the hell knows? If they win this week, then who the hell cares?
Yeah, Devonta Smith, player of the game. What do you got, Ryan?
I was gonna go right. If you weren't going there, I was too, because he always plays well against them too.
Yeah,
even in like games where the whole team is kind of weird, he kind of plays really well. I'm feeling a Swift game, honestly. Like not that he hasn't played well the last couple of weeks, but it's they don't really completely go to him like they did against the Vikings. I'm gonna go with Swift. I'm not gonna say 2 touchdowns because again it's gonna be a Gainwell thing, but I'll say one that he like a 40-some yarder that he houses. I'll go over 100 yards too.
Well, I'm going to piggyback off of Ryan. I'm also going to go with DeAndre Swift. Washington's run defense at home is ass. So, yeah, it's 31st for run defense at home, giving up over 140 yards per game at FedEx. So I'm piggybacking off of Ryan. Give me DeAndre Swift.
Nice. Greg?
Yeah, please. No. Give me AJ. Give me 6 straight weeks.
6 straight weeks
Give
for
me
the
6
record.
straight weeks for the
Right,
record.
for the record. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, he is always open too. So I know
He
he's
really
right.
Yes, he is.
He's just,
He is-
I mean, not that we
he-
already didn't know how much of a beast he was, but the last 5 weeks, he's been a literal monster.
Well, Slade said he's his number 2 ranked wide receiver on his podcast. Who do you think one was?
Well, we can't say Jefferson because Slay owns Jefferson.
Is it Tyreek?
Everybody else got guesses?
It has to be Tyreek, yeah.
Anybody else?
I would say Tyreek.
Blake, got anybody but Tyreek?
Nah,
Wow.
I'd say Tyreek. Yeah.
Well, you fuckers nailed it. Thanks. But yeah, Tyreek it is.
I didn't listen to it, so I had no idea.
No, I didn't listen to it either. I just saw it. I'm a quote.
Did he
grabber.
have like a top 5?
No, I didn't hear it. I just was a quote about AJ being 2, and he gave it to Tyreek, which I can't disagree with.
No.
Fully.
No.
They're both different, obviously, but they're both always open. But AJ, like, man, if he's healthy, I don't know how you stop him. Like, he's just that big and strong and fast. Like, that got him and Jalen are close, right? Because I think they keep each other in line. And like I said before, like, I don't know if we were on this show, but like Donovan, like stop. It's not a comparison. And I love 5, right? But like stop trying to compare. Like, we don't need to compare it to guys doing sit-ups in their driveway. Like, these guys are too close. Yeah, like, you guys weren't as close. Now, does he look like T.O. out there? Yeah. And I think it's funny, Jalen's like, dude, you look like Julio running the one time. I thought I was throwing the Julio. So, like, the comparisons to, like, those great physical wide receivers, he's that. And obviously, when you're that, like Matt Ryan got the benefit of, it makes your life a lot easier, man. Because Matt Ryan had a good dude down there. He didn't have a prima donna. He had a physical fucking specimen. Mm-hmm. Now, with all those dudes, they want the football, right? Like when you're great, and this is why I don't get caught up in this. When you're great and you know you're great, you want the ball. So like,
there's a little diva to you.
It's not, to me, it's not even diva. It's competitive fire, right?
No, like, absolutely. But I'm saying it
can
comes
be
off.
Diva.
It comes off as it.
It perceives as diva, like me. But you're more, you want to win. And like Devontae's the same kind of cat. Like, you think Devontae isn't mad that he's not getting the ball a lot? I'm sure he's not happy, but at the end of the day, they're still winning. Like I always say, winning cures a lot, especially guys coming from winning cultures previously. They're not as selfish, right? So like Devontae's not as selfish to say, I could come on the sidelines and have a hissy fit. This is not his style. Now, behind closed doors, maybe he's like, dude, come on. And they watch film. So like, you think Jalen doesn't know now after watching film from Sunday if Devontae was open more than he thought he was? Of course he knows. Do you think Devontae knows? Oh, you were covered on that. These guys know. You find out, bro. The tape don't lie. Like, so when you have to go back and watch film as a player, it will never lie. It will let you know who's softies. It'll let you know who's physical specimens. It'll let you know who's elite. Like, it lets you know, which is great that the NFL does so much time and they spend so much time watching film because you find out. You don't got to be the smartest coach in the world to know, hey, this guy can't play. I'm watching enough all week long. Oh, this guy, you got to get in the ball. And that's where they're at with AJ, boys. They're at the point where, like, Jesus Christ. I mean, this tape, he's really never covered. Like, that's when they go back and watch tape.
He's open.
That's
he was covered there, but he's really open.
That's what I was going to say, where they probably look at the tape and both of them are open. It's just AJ Brown is more open.
And right, the other side of it, when you have a small quarterback, the bigger guy's always open more.
Yeah.
Right. And that's right. But listen, Devontae's going to get over 1,000 yards. He's going to have 7 or 8 touchdowns. He's going to have enough catches. Like, when it's all said and done, Devontae will get his. Ted, yes, AJ is in the MVP race. Absolutely.
Gotta be.
You don't tie Calvin Johnson with something and not be in the conversation. Right, Ted? You know what I mean?
I have him right now because, like, the thing that sucks is that, like, the MVP race is like a quarterback's award. Sort of like the offensive player of the year award. And I'm just off the top of my head, I would probably he's definitely in the top 3, unless I'm missing somebody, with Tyreek and McCaffrey.
Yeah. Yep.
Whatever order, I would say probably Tyreek 1, right? Just because Tyreek's Tyreek.
Well, not right now. Like again, when you're in Calvin Johnson territory, that's a problem.
Fair,
Like
fair.
Tyreek's sensational. But when you're doing this, when you're putting up those kind of splits, it's
Yeah.
like, oh shit. You know what I mean? It's like, okay. And Tyreek, every time he gets the ball, it's like it's so much fun to watch, right? It is so much fun to watch. But
Unless he's playing us.
It's like
Unless
a
he's
gnat
playing
flying
us.
across the screen.
yeah, McCaffrey could get it like for a lot of reasons, right? There's like deeper reasons, like pedigree, family, whatever you play, you're a running back, right? So like, he's obviously in it, and he's special when he's healthy, as we all know. But it's interesting. But yeah, I would say they're the three guys in that conversation. All right, defensive players of the game.
Blake, did you go with your offensive yet?
Yeah. So no, not yet. So
my bad, Blake.
No, that's all right. My offensive player, I think I'm smelling a Dallas Goedert masterpiece in this one. I think he's going to have big game. I think they're going to go to him routinely and catch Washington off guard with their defense. And I think he gets like 9 grabs. I'm saying $120, and he gets 1 score. But he'll be a major factor in the game, though.
Yeah, I can see that.
I like it.
Bill said he heard from a source that Jalen got hurt deadlifting. Huh.
Yeah.
Sourcegate.
Defensive player of the game. Oh, man. Who's going to make plays Sunday? Who's going to make plays? Somebody's going to take the football away Sunday. Give me James Bradbury. Let me get a pick or two. I'm just trying to think somebody outside of defense, like the line. Like it's easy. Like, I got 2 sacks. I was just trying to be creative. Or Bradbury takes one to the house or something. You know what I mean? Something like that. Where he played.
Yeah, and it's also a guy who you haven't heard from in a while.
Yeah.
Right?
Like
you know what I mean? And you haven't heard from him in a while, so I like it.
You there, James?
Showed it you're here. Hello.
Yeah. Got a lot of money. You playing?
I'm going to go a little different in the sense that I don't believe I've ever picked this guy, and I have nothing against him. I don't think I've ever picked him for like one of my defensive player of the game predictions. Give me Josh Sweat. He's been incredible.
I knew you were going to say that.
Played really, really well.
I knew you were going to say that.
Did you?
Yeah. When you said you never picked them before, I was like, yeah, I don't think I've ever picked them either. Not that I have a vendetta against them. It's just like
other options.
Yeah. There's just so many guys to choose from.
No, Martian, I'm not going Barnett. No, I'm good. I'm good with Barnett.
Greg, go ahead. I'm looking up these Sweats numbers real quick. But you can go ahead.
I'll go the other side. I'll go guy who's been playing with his with a fire under his ass after getting the cast off. Give me Hassan Reddick.
Nice. Josh Sweat, right? Through first 7 games. 5.5 sacks, 14 QB hits, 5 tackles for losses, 2 forced fumbles in 2023.
Beast.
So every year, and then 2022 through his first 7, 2.5 sacks, 11 QB hits, 6 tackles for losses, no forced fumbles. Right. So, and then you go to 2001 through his first 7, 1.5, 6 QB hits. So a guy who keeps climbing the mountain on getting better. So,
and he made that huge play of stringing out Mostert the other night.
Yep.
On that one run play, like he almost caught Mostert, who's one of the fastest guys in the league.
Yeah, man. I mean, yeah.
And it just strung him out to allow everybody else to come get him.
You can't say enough about the speed of this defense, right?
No.
It really gave Miami problems, right? It really did. Their ability to go sideline to sideline with your ends and your linebackers, it really created them not being able to do what they wanted to do to you, which is spread you out, right, and get the edges. And they weren't able to do it because of Sweat and Reddick, right? They set the tone on not getting the edges. And then N'Kobe and Cunningham can both run. I mean, they're sideline to sideline linebackers, to be honest with you, which is something we haven't really had. We haven't had too many sideline to sideline guys.
Sure.
Like those 2 guys are, their ability to make plays in space.
Frank?
Right, what were you going to say?
No, I was just going to say that, like, with his sacks, it's always fun when an Eagles player gets a sack, right? But his sacks, especially over the last handful of games, have been timely. Like, very key, important parts of the games. It's like Josh Sweat sack, Josh Sweat sack. Like, it's not like garbage time. It's nothing like that. It's okay. Key third downs, fourth quarter, third quarter, even at the end of halves, right? It's Josh Sweat just comes through, and he comes up big, which is great.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Sometimes you watch him too, and you're like, "Did he sit down, doggy? Sit down, sit down." Don't worry, dude. My dog.
That's how Josh Sweat used to play. That's how
my
Josh
dog's
Sweat
rubbing his ass all over the floor upstairs. You know what I mean? So it could be worse. I'd rather have the bark. You know what I mean? Than knowing I can't stop you from dragging your asshole freaking the length. You score more in the red zone than the goddamn Eagles do. You just dragged your asshole 20 feet, 20 yards across my house. Go ahead, Frank.
Right?
Yeah, I got like one little dog like freaking out right now. Give me Jalen Carter as my defensive player of the game.
All right, thank you for doing that, Frank, because I was going to immediately pull up some numbers from one Mr. Jalen Carter. So you guys are just falling right into my lap right now.
he's
Jalen Carter.
He's pretty
good. Pretty good player. But
yeah, he's going to be okay. He'll be
I think he's going to make it. Jalen Carter, among defensive tackles through his first 7 weeks of the season, a 91.3 grade, which is number one, 22% pass rush win rate, first overall, 10.8 pass rush productivity. Don't even know what that means, but it's awesome.
Sounds great.
Productivity
great,
snap, he's number one. So in terms of his snap rate, I think that's like your snap rate. Nobody's better than you.
It's insane.
So this is a rookie. This is a rookie who's ranked first in all these little grades that do matter, right? I mean, those grades do matter. There are people who are really dissecting it deeper, which I appreciate. Anybody who's ever been in the social media world appreciates you breaking it down deeper, because I'm not going to go back and watch a game ever. So I just knew he was all over the field Sunday again. Might not got home, right? But you could see you cannot stop Jalen Carter one-on-one, Frank Vespi. You cannot do it. We know you can't, but nobody can do it to your pick. So that's a great pick. It was a name I was thinking about, but I didn't want to steal him first overall.
Can I just add too? While he is just a rookie, and even though he doesn't play like a rookie, he is an absolute seasoned vet when it comes to the flop. I mean, he is like LeBron-esque, and he said that with the flop.
Yeah, he's a flopper.
Mm-hmm.
Blake?
Yeah, I think I agree that this is probably going to be the Jalen Carter show. I don't see it being any different than what it was the last time. So I give him thinking like maybe 5-6 solo tackles, and then give him I'd say it's like he gets like maybe a sack and a half.
Okay. All right. So we did our scores. We did our players of the game. Still continue to drop yours in there. Hit the like, hit subscribe, hit the follow. Join the conversation as always. On the other side, we're going to come back and we're going to give you a little preview to a second round exit. Like I said a bunch of times, I'm going to continue to say. For the Philadelphia 76ers. New year, new coach. Lot of same pieces, but some different ones. So we'll get into a little bit of everything, and then we'll give you and we're really excited to give you the end of the year Phillies recap too. I mean, that's just riveting. Can't believe I'm sitting here having this conversation tonight. To be completely honest with you guys. Can't believe
we don't have
that.
to.
No, I just can't believe that it happened.
No, I'm with you. But
you know what I mean? No, I mean, listen.
I've been a basket of emotions all day.
Yeah, I've been dancing on my own, all fucking day crying.
Can we retire that song now, by the way? Can we just be done with that song?
Yeah, it's done. Yeah, we're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll come back. This is A2D Wednesday nights, only on A2D Radio.
Royal Billiard and Recreation, proudly celebrating 40 years and our new, bigger showroom.
Twice the size and twice the fun.
More pool tables by Olhausen. More dartboard sets, including custom reclaimed backboards. More bar and kitchen stools that can change a room.
And more bars, including pre-built and custom.
Hot tubs, skee ball, shuffleboard, outdoor,
and fun.
Royal Billiard and Recreation, your ultimate game room store. Now located on Bethlehem Pike in Colmar.
In our family, food is our daily bond.
My nonna, affectionately called Mama by many, found solace and joy in the kitchen, sharing her love through delicious creations. She turned her culinary passion into a flourishing business alongside her husband and sons in 1983. Celebrating 40 years is a testament to our exceptional team, friends, family, and beloved customers. With gratitude, we look forward to the future, expanding our brand to share the highest quality Italian food and wine nationwide. Our heartfelt thanks to everyone who has played a part in our story. Grazie mille.
Hats.com is the premier destination for quality and fashion-forward hats and more, with designs for every style and trend. Locally based and run by Philly sports team fanatics, Hats.com can help you elevate your hat john. Utilize the easy-to-use guides at Hats.com to find your perfect size and style, and shipping and returns are free. Hats.com. Find yourself in a hat. Use code Philly for 15% off your order. Hats.com.
Welcome back, everybody. A2D Wednesday nights. Thanks for joining us. We started our show off the first hour. Eagles, Commanders. Talked about the Kevin Byard signing or trade, and what that means to the Philadelphia Eagles moving forward. And is that the missing piece in all this to get us back to a Super Bowl? Everybody agreed with it. Greg did not. And then I sort of made him agree as the conversation went on. But let us know. You can still, what Bill says, Carlinos is the bomb. So that's good. Great review. I mean, great Yelper. Great Yelp review here. They are the bomb. They are the bomb. And make sure you go check out hats.com. You know, Irvin talked about it, but you can use code 15% off. Use code Philly for 15% off your order at hats.com. And you can also get the hat that Brian Dawkins wore in his Hall of Fame induction. So, I mean, that's always cool. And I believe Dawk's going to be on with the guys tomorrow, Irvin and Hollis. So I think Dawk talks back tomorrow. I got to check, but pretty sure it is. They were on location the last 2 weeks, and that's why Dawkins hasn't been on. So make sure you go check it out. I'm sure he's going to have a lot to say about the Kevin Byard signing. He's already had some things to say about it. So make sure you tune in to Dawk Talk tomorrow. Hit the like, subscribe, turn your damn alerts on. And Carlinos, located Ardmore, Westchester, PA. So you can go check them out at either one of those locations. All right. And they're the money. They're the best. I mean, you're not going to be disappointed. And like I said the other week, you know, if you're more in the Jersey area and it's easier to get to a great, delicious place, and you got to go check out Baggio's, and they're located in Mount Laurel, New Jersey. Baggio's bread, that is. And they're the home of the best stuffed bread, tomato pie sandwiches, cutlets, meatballs. You mentioned A2D Radio, you get 10% off your order. So go check out Baggio's if you're in Mount Laurel area. And if you're closer to Ardmore or Westchester, PA, then guess where you got to go? Carlinos. We got you covered, right? Got you covered all over the area. Nobody's got you covered better than A2D. All right, go grub out. Phillies lost, heartbreaking. Go eat a lot of food. You know, we're condoning it. So Sixers preview. So should we just stop after like 2 minutes? How does that work?
I love it.
I can give my preview in 3 words. First round exit. That's it. That's my Sixers talk.
Ooh.
First round, not even second. Wow.
Yeah, it might be a little bit better than that, but I hear you. It's hard to hop on board. I mean, listen, I think, and every year you want to have the hope for this basketball team because you have the best player in the league. Mm-hmm. So at the end of the day, like, we should probably, and it's okay. I like it being negative because usually better things happen sometimes than us being too positive, right? That's just the Philly way, you know. But when I'm always sitting there with the best player in basketball, it's hard not to be a little bit optimistic still. Even though I think I know the ending, I know how the story goes, right? I also brought in a new coach, a different style, a style that we like a lot more. And there were, you have some acquisitions that you acquired that aren't great. You have Patrick Beverly, Kelly Oubre, not great. Some newer pieces. You hope Maxey takes the next step, right? You hope maybe without Harden, Tobias is more of an offensive factor. If Harden plays, Harden plays. I mean, I think when you talk about missing link, I don't think Harden's a missing link to us. I think figuring out a way to acquire some things for James Harden is the missing piece for us. I'm curious to see if he plays. I'm curious to see how that goes, right? This whole situation. But I'm excited to see a new coaching staff. I am excited to see Nick Nurse, whose teams are always tough, right? They're always hard exits. They're never easy. Well, he's got more talent here than he did in Toronto. So you're giving a damn good coach more talent. We saw what he did when he had it. We saw what he did when he had the talent. I mean, he did win. And he didn't win that long ago either. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like Doc where he won like over a decade ago. He won recent. And his teams weren't as good after no Kawhi, but they were sure competitive as shit, right? They played tough. They had a style to them. So I like that, right? I like that. So that gives me some positivity. It gives me some positivity. Everybody talking about everybody else, right? Sixers aren't even being talked about. Everybody talking about everybody else. So give me this is the year. Give me this the year. I'm not talking about finals. No, this is the year they get past second round. This is the year that the MVP stays healthy for fucking once. I don't know. I'm going to keep saying it until it happens. He's too talented not to get past second round. He just is. So when are they going to put it together? Maybe this is the year they put it together because nobody thinks they will. Maybe a new coach brings some new life. Maybe they get a deal done with Harden and you get a Terrence Mann back, right? Or you get Norman Powell, whatever it may be. But you get somebody back that can be impactful enough to you to replace it. Or maybe you get a guy like Harden that ends up staying here. Maybe they put it to bed. Maybe they move on. I don't think it's Ben Simmons like. Make sense? I don't think it's that level. You got a prima donna that's annoyed, right? And Doc said it. Doc had this quote that's going to go up on A2D. He talked about, and then I'll tell you, I told you where I think they'll go, and you guys can go. But he had a quote, and he said when he didn't make the All-Star team last year, all right, like it bothered him per se. Make sense? I'll get you guys the official quote of it. But something you're like, why? Why would that impact the way you play? He said, I would say not making the All-Star team really bothered him. And going to say, his relationship with Philly, just some of the things going on there. So I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen with him. I don't think he'll sit out, though. Like, I don't think you're going to see a sit out because I think he knows that ruins his value. He's got to showcase his value. So that's a win to me. Right, guys? Mm-hmm. And then go. Yeah. That's a win. Like, okay, you're going to play and showcase that you're valuable to somebody else. Please go show it. Right? Time's yours. Would love for you to show your value to somebody else. Because that's a win for me, and that's a win for you. So if he's looking at it like the way I think he is, hopefully he puts on a good show for somebody else.
I'm kind of upset with myself because, like, my biggest frustration with this team is that I like this team. Like, without all the end, there's always extra with this organization. Always. There's always something, right? So, like, I shouldn't have, for once, and we knew, like, this didn't just, like, come out of nowhere, right? Like, this has been going on since Game 7 collapsed. Like, we knew something was going to happen in some, form. But, like, I've always liked Nick Nurse. I've liked the kind of basketball that he and the style that he has, the ball movement, guys moving, crashing the boards, like stuff that we have really sucked at as an organization since we've actually, gotten back to trying to win basketball games. I like the whole thing of like he hates the stale, just dribble, which is kind of ironic to me. Like, because I do agree. I think Harden has to play, even if it's for 5 games. Like, so in that small sample size, I'm very interested to see what a Nick Nurse, James Harden offense looks like. Like I like how this team looks. I do. Like, I think a guy like DeAnthony Melton could actually really be like really good. I'm not saying like all-star level, but really good under a Nick Nurse structured offense with the ball movement. He kind of goes to guys that are athletic, all that sort of stuff that can play on both sides of the court. And then you go to the Maxey factor. Like, this is kind of stupid to say about an MVP, like that he's an afterthought, because he's not an afterthought. Right? Like, the microscope is on him and will always be on him. But like my main focus, just as a fan, as a microcosm, is how good can Tyrese Maxey be? And that's why like the Harden thing is like whatever to me. Like I've completely put the trade machine away because it's like he's going to get moved. It's not going to be for a star. It's going to be for role players or picks that they can then repurpose. But it's like, can we get the extra out of the way for one season, just so at least we know what Tyrese Maxey can be before we have to pay him? Right? Like I actually think
bigger than having to pay him, right? Is like we want to find out. We need him to take a next step, right? Like organizationally as a team. So if he grows like he's been growing and continues to grow, that's big for us. Like all you need is 3 impactful scorers per se that really take care. Really, the ball movement goes through those guys, and I'll stand by this. Harris, Maxey, and Embiid can be very good together. I do believe that those 3 guys can give you enough.
It's frustrating because like we obviously know what Milwaukee and Boston are projected to be. We know that, right? We weren't good enough to beat them before the Damian Lillard, Drew Holiday, Kristaps Porzingis restructuring up there with those 2 teams. But I'm not going to be the guy. And listen, all signs point to like I'm not going to criticize anybody if they want to have the mindset that this team is a mess and they're going to be a 9th seed and like they're going to trade Embiid in the middle of the season, like whatever. Like that's what this organization does not deserve the benefit of the doubt, right? Like this general manager doesn't, or basketball director of operation, whatever the hell they call them, and James Harden. Like either side you're on, I don't trust either one of them. I don't believe anything that comes out of either one of their mouths. So that's just me. Right. So, like, if you want to have the opinion that this is the year and this is actually like a structured team with a good coach and Maxey could be good with Embiid, that I get that because I like pieces of how like things fit. But also I get the other side because this is another year where like we have phantom Knicks trades coming out, which is so obviously coming out of the Embiid camp because there's no way that's coming from the Knicks. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's always something with them. But on the same side, it's like, well, the East, aside from the big 2, I think is pretty weak. And it was already a weak conference to begin with. So I still have them in the kind of the same bubble they're always in. Yeah. Top 4 seed in the East. You're going to face one of either Boston or Milwaukee in the second round. By that point of the year, 75% of this fan base, we're going to be in, oh, well, maybe we can beat Milwaukee. Maybe we can beat Boston. Oh, Embiid's healthy. Oh, Embiid's a top 3 MVP guy. And we're going to be sitting here on the eve of game 6 in the second round. And we're going to say, you know, this team feels different. This team feels really different, guys. And we're either going to be Michael Scott saying, I'm ready to get hurt again. Or we're actually going to get past the second round for the second time since like the 80s. Who the hell knows? But it's going to be the same thing. And I would be shocked if it's anything else.
Yeah, the one thing that kind of concerns me this year over most other years, outside of all the personnel stuff, right? The trade talk and the trade rumors around Joe just continue to get louder and louder and more frequent. And they've always been there, right?
Yeah,
they've always been there.
Like from who, right? Like that's
no, I agree with you. I'm just saying the chatter's there, right? So
yeah,
it's always going to be a question. It's always going to be
it starts with sorry. Go ahead. Like this always starts when you don't get over a hump, right? Like that chatter to me isn't coming from reliable sources. That chatter isn't coming from camps. Like a camp is not going to release like this is the trade package with the Knicks. Like, you know what I mean? So all those like packages that come out and the rumors and the rumblings, they all start from somebody that's like, oh, he's going to want out. Assuming like, oh, because he's not winning, he's going to want out.
Yeah.
Like, that's not always the case. That's not fact. We just watch it with Dame for forever, right? You know, you watch it in other places. Like, yeah, do certain guys want out and want to go star hunting? But like you're talking about Embiid to the Knicks for all that in exchange. Well, what are the Knicks? It's the same thing here.
Jalen Brunson and Embiid.
Like it's not better than here. So at the end of the day, that doesn't win you a title. So why would they? Nobody would release that. We're a top 3 fucking market. So at the end of the day, like New York's not much different than here in terms of ratings, in terms of endorsements, in terms of everything else. Like, they're a Mecca. I get it, but it's not far off. Like we're not the little sisters of the poor in the Philadelphia market, right? It's not. That's not the case even a little bit. So to me, like that I don't even pay any mind to that. Like when that comes from his mouth, I'll pay mine.
Yeah,
Yep, I hear you. You know what I mean?
No,
I hear you.
Yeah, completely agree. It was more just another distraction, right? It just something else to take the mind off of off the games, put some more, distractions into a locker room that is already heavily distracted because of the giant loser that we have.
Yep. No, I mean, he's a different story in that, right? Like Joel's not looking for distractions, in my opinion.
No, he's not.
Joel's going to look to play basketball. He's not. That's not his style. It doesn't mean he's never going to want out. That's a different conversation, right? But like in terms of his style, he's not a guy who he's just not. It's not the way he operates.
Mm-hmm.
So like I look at this basketball team and I don't think they even you are looking at James Harden as a distraction, because in reality the only distraction is that he has issues with upper management, but most players do. So I don't think players care about that. Like in terms of like they care.
Sure.
They might they're probably going to side with the player more than they're going to side with the organization, because he's not trying to do the players dirty. Right. At the end of the day, like he's not, and I'm not defending Harden. I'm just being honest. Like in no way, shape, or form. Like he showed up. Like if he didn't show up, you find out a lot more about a guy. But him showing up tells you like, okay, if he wants out, he's going to try to help himself get out. Right. So I don't look at that as much of a distraction. I think players are going to go play. They played 2 years together now, or 1.5. Like they became, their bond is whatever their bond is.
Sure.
Well, and I'm not saying this because I'm a Sixers fan, because we all know we are not one to side with organization, just to side with organization. But I truly believe this. James Harden needs the Sixers way more than the Sixers need him. I truly believe that.
Nobody paying him. Like, listen, when you say to Houston, like, I almost want to revert back to who I was, and I want to be in the MVP conversation. Well, they're like, okay, we're out on this. So that's a leak report from a camp, because they want to get a guy paid, right? That's the difference from Embiid's camp leaking a trade, which doesn't get him paid, right? Compared to Harden's camp leaking a trade that can get him paid. That's the difference in all this. So his camp leaked it to act like somebody wanted to give him max money. And then what he found out is, they don't want to give you max money. So what happened is his hands got tied, right, in this whole process. His hands got tied up. So now the only thing he can do is sit out and show that kind of stigma to you, or come play and show you're not going to let it affect the team. You're a team guy, so somebody out there will trade for you with the potential of a sign and trade in terms of them giving you money.
The story involving him and Ime Udoka confirmed everything we've ever said about him.
Oh yeah,
to where Ime Udoka was vetting the situation because ownership and some of the players wanted Houston to go after Harden and have a return. Ime Udoka chose Fred VanVleet over Harden because Harden expressed to him that his main focus was surrounding the scoring title, which is something we've always talked about with Harden. He can portray that he wants to win and he wants to be a team guy and he takes a pay cut, but it's always down to the bottom line. We know what his priority is, both with his words and most importantly, his actions. So when somebody like Ime Udoka on a Houston team that has been floundering since that same guy, James Harden, has left there, says, nah, I'm good. I'm going to go pay freaking Fred VanVleet $40 million annually. And there's no other team aside from a desperate bad organization ran a Clippers team that has any interest in even entertaining a James Harden trade. You need us, James, because if this doesn't work, I'm sorry, top 75 player of all time, really fun in the late 20 teens, you will be out of the league faster than you think you can command another max contract. And that's just the way it goes.
Yeah. And this is great from Daryl Morey, Casey. I agree with you. Him not paying them and saying, well, we're not giving you max money. You want to work out another deal, sure. But he acted like he took a discount for us, when in reality, that's about where he's at. And the quicker he realizes that, the quicker the teams will give him that money. That will give him a 3-year, at this point, a 3-year, $75 million deal. Like, you know what I mean? You're just not going to get the max. You get 3 years, 60, 3 years, 70, 75, whatever that may be, right? But you're not getting max. Yeah, is your value in the NBA the way they pay 3 years, 75? Of course it is, because that's what the NBA is paying guys that are less than you, right? So, you have a value to you. Your value just isn't max money. Your value at this point of your career is, do I want to win more than I want to get paid? That's at this point in your career, that's where you find out when guys sort of figure it out. Some guys do, some guys don't. Maybe this is a wake-up call for him. I doubt it, but Frank, Blake, what do you guys think about the Sixers? So, right, you think it's the same old. They'll finish in the second. They'll get knocked down in the second round, right?
We'll be totally bought in on this team. We'll think that they're a different team in December. We're like, oh, this is it. This is it.
They were last year. That's what's upsetting. If Joel doesn't get hurt, like they were fucking different. We watched it, right? We had a million conversations about it. That's why last year hurt so bad, because he was different. And then we thought, like, oh man, he's gonna go through a postseason, he doesn't get hurt. Back. As soon as you start feeling good, back.
Same thing happened. Tom, same thing happened to a baseball team last night, which I know we'll talk about. It's eerily similar. It was eerily similar.
Sadly, the baseball team's even worse than it.
Yes, I agree.
I don't know. I don't know how you guys feel.
Which is somehow possible, but yes.
I'll bring up the poll question from last night to you guys when we get to Phillies and get your thoughts on, and then obviously the dial round with it today. So I just want to say we won. We were faster. We were faster than that.
And Tom, if you don't mind, I really want to get off my chest about when we do get to the Phillies, because I have a lot to get off my chest about.
I don't ever mind venting. This is what we're here to do. It's the only thing that makes me feel better. It's the only thing that helped me sleep at night, even though that took a while. Right. And then I woke up this morning and it was like literally like a fucking funeral. You know what I mean? Not only is everybody sick in my house, but then I'm dealing with this crap. So whatever. We'll get to the Phillies. Give me your Sixers, guys. Tell me what you're thinking. I'll just say the play the other side, because I know it's easier, rightfully so, to say, hey, this is what's going to happen again. I'm going to just hope and pray, means I have a top 3 player in the league and the MVP, that we can get over this hump. What do you two say?
I mean, for me, like I said it earlier, I think it's a first round exit. I want to have my hopes up. I hope we can get it out of the second round, but I don't know. This whole Harden trade saga, for me, I think it's just going to be a huge distraction for this team for the next several months until they get rid of him. I think it just kills my interest in watching this team at the moment. I'll watch a few games here and there. I'll watch opening day tomorrow, but
opening day.
I honestly don't know.
He said a Phillies thing, Greg. He said something. He said opening day. God, you can't escape it.
You know what I mean? Opening day, opening night. It's an opening of a brand new season, and
sure it is.
Yeah, it's another season of disappointment in the playoffs. So that's where I stand on the Sixers so far this season. I think, I think they'll be like a top 4 team in the East. I'm particularly leaning towards 4, and it's not going to be a fun playoffs.
Blake?
Yeah, basically what I got is I even go back to this whole thing with Ben Simmons. And, I've talked to numerous people that I've known and just people in general. And I really think where Daryl Morey, he made his mistake was, this is just my opinion. I don't know how you guys felt about it, but when he had an opportunity to make that deal with Sacramento, I feel like that might have been the better move to make, because at least you had some young players like Buddy Hield and I forget the other guys that were involved in that deal, but like Buddy Hield, I know was one of the key players, and I just feel like those are the type of guys you could have built around, and they're younger, and you want to stay like relatively, I'm not saying relatively really young, but relatively to the point where you're going to be in contention for not maybe just 1 year, 2, 3, or maybe 5, 6 years in a row. And you can build around those guys. You can get a system together. And I feel, maybe if these guys are under, with Nick Nurse with Nick Nurse this year, if they were to be here, if we had made that deal instead, I think we would be in a lot better shape. Look, I mean, I'm happy with James Harden. I was happy they made the move for him, but I think honestly, when you look at the long term, that might have been more of the better move to make. But
Blake, you know what's funny that you referenced that trade, and I remember the exact trade it was going to be, because Tom and Greg, I would literally bring it up to them every week, and they wanted to come after me because I was like a broken record with it. It was Ben Simmons and Thibault and like a throw-in bench player. I believe it was Korkmaz. It's the only thing that was fuzzy for me.
yeah, I think it was. Yeah, it sounds right. Yeah,
For
yeah.
Hield, Halliburton, Harrison Barnes, and 2 second-round picks.
Mm-hmm.
And who knows, right? Like, it's the NBA. You don't know what's true and everything. But if that was on the friggin' table, and we didn't do that because he wanted to go back to Boy Wonder from Houston, and we're in the same spot in a way that we were in with Simmons, we're dealing with an older player who's commanded his way out of 3 organizations. Yeah, it's a tough pill to swallow, to be honest with you, especially when you look at what Halliburton's turned into. Like, Hield and Barnes, it's like, whatever. It's like, no, give me Halliburton. I'll figure the rest out later. Like, Halliburton, you had Maxey at the time. Halliburton, Maxey, Embiid, and Harris? Okay. I could do worse. No, Ted, I've been off the Levine thing for like 3 years. That was a weird time for me. The Zach Levine fan club. We'll probably end up with him, though, and then it'll come back to bite me. No, I've gone past that. Don says, was Shea ever available? Probably not.
No. I can't imagine. I can't imagine that OKC would ever attempt to part with him, at least right now.
No. KZ says Ryan was acting like Morey was Jesus when we made the Harden trade different too. No, well, everybody was. KZ, it was you're getting rid of Simmons. Go back on the tape. Everyone was half celebrating because freaking negative 25 was out. And yeah, James Harden with Embiid sounded pretty good. It did. Right? It sounded pretty good. We had some fun times. We had some laughs. And now we're not laughing anymore. Now we're not laughing. They're laughing at us now. That's the Sixers. That's how it goes. I wanted to run through this really quick. I do this every year. It's just an invitation for me to be wrong on these things. I'll give you a rapid fire of my top 15 in each conference. And that way both you guys and the viewers can hold me to and be like, hey, remember when you had the Oklahoma City Thunder win in the West? And I'll be like, yeah, that was a weird time. I don't have that, by the way, even though I think they're going to be a fun team. So I have Boston 1, Milwaukee 2, Cleveland 3, Sixers 4, Knicks 5, Heat 6, and everyone going after me. Oh, the Heat they were in the finals. The Heat coached until the playoffs, and then Jimmy Butler's like, oh, it's the playoffs now, I got to play. I have Brooklyn 7, Atlanta 8, Pacers 9, Greg, your Magic is at 10, Raptors 11, Bulls 12, Pistons 13. There you go, Don. Charlotte 14, and the Wizards 15. And then the West, I feel like you can have any of these of 9 of the top teams anywhere. I've got Denver 1, I've got the Grizzlies 2, I've got the Suns 3, I've got the Lakers 4, I've got the Thunder 5, Warriors 6, Kings 7, Timberwolves 8, Pelicans 9, the Clippers 10, Mavs 11, Rockets 12, Portland 13, Spurs 14, and then Utah 15.
Well, we're doing this.
I was saying, Tom, it's my invitation to be wrong every year. I'd be like, oh, remember when you had the Thunder really, really high and they ended up being the worst team in the league? It's like, yeah, it was a weird time.
It's so hard to do in basketball.
Especially in the West this year.
Chet's ankles get broken tonight. Is he alive?
Well, he heard that I bet on him for Rookie of the Year. So he's like, oh, yeah, this is my time.
From
time.
Andre Drummond of all people.
I do.
I know.
I do think, a team that won tonight against a team they should, but I do think Dallas is going to be very, very good. I do. I think the Mavericks are going to be very good. They're just in a tough Western Conference, but when you have those two guards at that level, say whatever you want about Kyrie, he's a fucking uber talented guy. But they added some good pieces. I do like that, not just because they just played and I watched them, but they're going to score at a high rate. But they look good. They look good tonight. They got it going. You know what I mean? And then when you see a team like get it going, game one, they're a little slow start. San Antonio was sort of dictating it, but you're able to turn it on.
Yeah,
like they did. It's impressive. Like, that's what really good teams do. They're able to flip the switch in game, turn it up a notch, and go beat a team you're supposed to. Because obviously you're on the road and that place is rocking and rolling. Wembanyama's debut, he looked good. Wemby looked good. I just still don't like the body type, but that's just me. But he's obviously number one for a reason. I'm not going to disagree with Pop. I'm not going to do it. Pop can have this one. I won't argue it. But yeah, I mean, in the East, like you said, Ryan, I think Sixers are 3 or 4. Yeah. I just don't know about Milwaukee yet.
I don't like them. I have them too, but I don't like them.
We always play them tough. The least of my concerns is the Milwaukee Bucks. Like, I got so much size over here. I'm not worried about the Milwaukee Bucks. I've been very adamant about that. Giannis is a fucking problem. He's awesome. Dame, I get it. He's older, right? Still awesome. But and then you have Middleton. I don't know. Sometimes he's hurt. Sometimes he's not. What's his status? They're good. But are they like head and shoulders better than us? Like, I don't know about that. I don't know if they're like that much better. They're better. They're better, sure, on paper. But on paper, they're really not. Like, if you put Harden in the mix, are they that much better? I mean, we have 4 legit scoring options. Are they that much better? I think that's what we miss about the Sixers, right? Like, if we went out and traded for Tobias today, we would like him. Makes sense. Like, that's a good addition.
Yeah.
Guy gives you
kind of like we did when we did trade for him, right? We're we're going to get a good guy.
Best player in the playoffs again. So like the bias hate, I don't like. Ryan knows this for years. Like, I'm not like, he's not a star. But, dude, that's a guy you need to win. Like, that's glue pieces that can contribute, that can score, that play great defense, right, and can score enough. I think you take Harden out of the mix and up Tobias' game, right? So, and again, you have centers galore to roll at Milwaukee. Like, you have big men galore to play that style of basketball. They don't concern me as much as the Boston Celtics do for obvious reasons. For obvious reasons.
Like, Giannis is a really good, obviously, like, he's really good with the defensive side of the ball. I don't have to speak on his offense. And like Lopez, but
losing Drew, right? Losing Drew, a great defender. Yeah, you get the offensive game of Dame, but you lose the defensive side. So to your point,
I don't know who they're defending, not us, right? Like, I'm just talking in general. I have no idea. Like, Damian Lillard is one of the
and we know Boston is defending. We know Boston is get up in your shorts. And guess what we are, though, to a point too. Like, and with Nick Nurse, we're going to defend, or he's going to play guys who defend. I mean, I think the best additions we made were like guys like Beverly, who we're not going to get scoring from, but you get some physicality, right? Sure. Get some hands in the face. Like PJ, hands in the face, tough, right? Like, we talk about it for years. I'm not crowning the Sixers or these moves, but like that's the kind of guys you need, right? To go along with your athletic wings. Like Melton gives you that athleticism. Kelly Oubre gives you that athleticism, right? Now, can these guys buy into being great defenders or being the best defender they can be, right? But listen, Paul Reed, right? Well, who is Paul Reed? Is Nick Nurse and his staff able to develop him to the level? I'm not saying all-star, but I'm saying a guy who can give you 10 off the bench. The guy can give you some offensive game, right? A guy who can defend. He's athletic, right? He's aggressive. Like, you need those type of young players that are just, like 2 years ago, obviously I was telling you guys Paul Reed's a G League guy because he was. He needed more time. Some guys aren't just instant, they need to play in the league. He's developed. He's gotten better. His fouls seem more under control as time went on, right? Still would do it once in a while. Now I hope with a new staff and my guy, who I'm drawing a blank because I'm exhausted, but my dude who's one of their assistant coaches, who, like I talked about, has more followers than Nick Nurse on Instagram.
I know who.
He's a big part of the development of Siakam. I mean, Siakam gives him like the credit. Why am I drawing a blank? I gotta find his name now. I'm annoyed because it's such an easy name for me to know.
While you're looking at that top, like with the Paul Reed stuff, if Nick Nurse and that staff, because I think there's going to be situations.
Danny Green too, right? I know he's old as shit, That's another guy, right? Like you have Danny Green on this roster who will at least try to defend.
I don't understand like the
Rico
like,
Hines.
Rico
Is that who
Hines.
you're talking about?
Yeah, Rico.
Rico
Yeah,
Hines,
Rico
Tommy?
Hines.
Is that who you're talking about?
Yeah, and I've talked about him before on here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? People know.
I don't understand. Like, listen, I was not a fan of Danny Green, especially like all the antics he was trying to start with, like the fans against Ben Simmons stuff. Like, I could do with like without that, but like when we brought him in over the summer and all the outrage, it's like, guys, he's not here to start. He's here to get Furkan Korkmaz's street clothes. Like that's all he's here for. Like he's not going to be like a legitimate role guy. If he is, you know what? If he's a legitimate role guy, that means he's playing well.
You just
Yeah,
love
well, Ted, real
slandering
quick.
my son. You just love slandering my son.
Like Ted, like
Any
like,
chance you get.
Yes, he stinks.
Ted
He
says
stinks.
Oubre, Bev, and Danny Green. These additions would have been better for us last year. Our bench sucked last year. Yeah, but we did go out and try to make ourselves deeper, right? I mean, and at the end of the day, you know, the Sixers made themselves deeper. And now, if you count Harden into it, right? I mean, your point guard spots is listed on like the depth chart, obviously, right? But it's like Harden, Beverly, Maxey, Melton, and Smith, right? Who's not going to play, right? Then you go to your two guards, Tyrese, Melton, right? Again, Oubre, Jaden Springer. Your fifth on that list is Danny Green, right? Now, small forward, he becomes third on your list. Oubre's second, Tobias is one. You see that? Furkan, Daniel House. All right. Now you go to your forward, right? You got PJ Tucker, Paul Reed, and then your third option, which you hope you don't get there, would be Tobias, right? If you had to make that move.
This is not Petrozev.
So I like the PJ Paul Reed. I like the PJ Paul Reed. That's like that brings some toughness to some things. You know what I mean? Like I do like that. Then your center, obviously, Embiid. Paul Reed's your backup, and then your third would be Mo Bamba, right? So, you know, you and then you know, Philippe is your fifth after Tucker there. But
God, he
like
sucks.
that look through is pretty good, right? Like that's a pretty good team. It's not bad at any stretch. Now, what's the difference? The difference is like, okay, do I have better coaching? Because if you look at the other two teams, right, you can make an argument that you can make an argument Nick Nurse is better than Boston's. Our staff's better than Boston's staff.
Yes.
And I think it's Eric. Eric's spot on when he says the loss of Marcus Smart is not easy. I don't care who you get from him. Like that's a defensive player of the year candidate type shit. So that's never an easy loss. Their coach is an idiot, right? We saw it last year, and their players won it for him, you know, in terms of the second round versus us. Okay, but then you look at Milwaukee. Is Mark Budenheimer that much better than Nick Nurse? I don't think so.
Well, it's not even him anymore. It's not Budenholzer. It's Quinn.
Not him.
No, it's Quinn.
Oh, it's yeah.
I believe it's the Toronto Raptors guy. Right?
Okay,
or is it the Miami guy? Hold on. Let me see.
So it's a guy from Nick's tree, per se?
I believe so, because there was a guy that Butler used to play, or that Butler knew. Hold on, let me see.
Well, either way, I think our staff, you can make an argument.
Oh, it's Griff. Sorry, it's Adrian Griffin.
Okay,
And he's from the departure of assistant coach Terry Scott. I'll look
Toronto, right?
Yeah,
he
Toronto.
won.
Yeah, he's from Toronto.
He won. Didn't he? Was he that coach of Toronto when he won Coach of the Year?
I
And
think
then got-
so.
And then
I
got
think
I
fired.
think that was the last. Yeah.
Yeah, and then he got
Was
fired
that before or after Nurse?
before. Then
I
he
think
got
it was
fired.
He spent the last 5 seasons as assistant coach of the Toronto Raptors. Yeah, so he was Nick Nurse's guy.
Okay,
And they
so
won
he's
the
a
title.
tree guy.
Yeah.
Tree guy. So
Yeah.
Nick's better than him. You know, his staff's better than him. You can make the argument right now. Right now, Miami's the kicker because obviously that guy can coach it up.
He's
right.
pretty good.
But on the other side of that, we have a guy who can coach it up too. So I think for the first time, like Doc was a motivator type guy. And if he didn't motivate you, if his style didn't motivate you, his energy, then you just didn't play well enough, right? Because it wasn't going to be like we're going to X and O you to death, right? And I don't think Doc's the reason we lost either, right? You know, it's a combination of things. He's part of the reason, right? Obviously, you're the head man, but you know, and you look at our coaches, right? Like, man, I feel like this is the best one we've had.
And you know what, too, Tom, when you look at Nick Nurse and his coaching style and philosophy, it'll especially get magnified in the playoffs, obviously, right, when we're playing the same opponent game after game. But when we used to go up there as the Sixers, and I know I've said this before, when we used to play the Raptors as a Sixer, he always had a plan for Joel Embiid.
Always.
Right? Whether it was Marc Gasol, whether it was Serge Ibaka, whether it was any one of the athletic bigs that they had the last 2 years, right? He always had a plan to combat Joel. So you can, to your point, Tom, like with the top teams in the league, now we might not see that every night throughout an 82-game series, right, or season, right? But you can almost assume, or you can hope that against the Celtics, against the, the Bucks, the Knicks and the Heat, right, the top echelon that we think of in the East, you're going to hopefully see at least a defensive system and a defensive game plan to help alleviate what may or may not be happening on the offensive end.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, I think if you want X and O's and you want a good staff behind the guy, this was the guy to bring in. You know what I mean? And when you said it perfectly, like when you got a guy that could figure out how to contain the best player in the league, the MVP of the league, that's a guy that I want to coach him.
Yeah.
Because he's going to know what they can run at you, but he's also going to know how to beat it. If it's your scheme to stop somebody, you also know in that scheme, okay, this is how they can beat me, though.
You're going to know the holes to it. Yep.
Yeah. So, I mean, listen, I think it's perfect, and I think we're going under the radar, which is what we want. At the end of the day, that's what we're looking for right now. Because every other year, it was like, okay, we got to get over it. We got to get over it. Well, we haven't, right? And I think people are, like, rightfully so, we start to assume that's going to happen. Well, we're still super talented, right? We still have the MVP. So that's where you can, like, shock somebody, right? Maybe it's a year we catch lightning in the bottle. If you had a gun to my head, would I say, yes, that's going to happen? No. But, there's always the chance of something different, right? And I think the more people don't believe in, like Rye's point, yeah, you give me a game 72, we're all probably going to think this team's different, right? But we'll make it different. And I've yelled and screamed about it for every year now. You know what makes the Sixers different? It's the most basic thing in the world.
Health.
Joel Embiid being healthy in the postseason is going to be the difference of the Sixers getting eliminated or the Sixers having a chance to continue to move on. If they want to cut nets down, which is obviously their goal, right? Or at least get to an Eastern Conference final, it comes about his health. So if he's healthy, I'll tell you right now, like they got a chance like everybody else. If he's not, then we know where we stand. So it's very simple. And I agree with Philly Liverpool. Like I like the Sixers tomorrow night. I do. No hard, and let's see how they play. It's going to be interesting for us to see what it's like without him. Like, are we good enough? Because we're going to find out a little bit about tomorrow night, and then we're going to get him back, obviously, because he wasn't sent home. The people who thought he was sent home, he wasn't sent home. Yeah. They just said, "Oh, you're not going to play game one. Get your conditioning up, right? Blah blah blah." And I guess they'll play when they come back home.
Yeah, because it's like a road trip, right? Like I think their first 2 games are on the road. I want to say, or am I completely making that up?
You might be right. Hold on, I'll pull it up. I got it right here.
Like they're not going to just have him sit on the bench. Yeah,
yes,
they're not
Thursday.
Have him sit on the bench.
Thursday and Saturday. So they go Milwaukee. Nick goes back to Toronto, and then we come home versus Portland, Toronto, and then you got a big one versus Phoenix. So your first 10: Milwaukee, Toronto, Portland, Toronto, Phoenix, Washington, Boston, Detroit, Indiana, and then Indiana.
Well, we'll find out if this team's real quick. That's a doozy of a start.
Yeah, I mean, and you got some teams that you should beat up on there too. I mean, you your first 4 games, you got Milwaukee, Toronto, Portland, Toronto. You know what I mean? Like,
hey, that could be
that's a 3-1 start.
I was going to say that's at least 2-2.
Yeah, if it's 2-2 and you play down to somebody, because those other 3 are winnable games for sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll see. And I think there is. Let me check on this. There is a back-to-back in there, which I don't know how they'll play that early. But Toronto and then Sunday home versus Portland. But there's no way he's not playing on the home opener. So, and then Toronto again on not till that following Thursday. the next Thursday.
I don't think Nick Nurse is going to play games with this back-to-back nonsense. He plays guys. Like, he plays guys almost to a fault at times. Like, he runs them. Like, that was the criticism with him and why he really wasn't. And I think this is more of a player issue because it's just young players not wanting to play basketball. That's why, like, his whole thing kind of ran dry with them the last couple of years, and why some of the players didn't like him. It's because he runs guys into the ground at times, like almost to a fault, according to some people. So, like, the whole, like, oh, they're going to coddle and beat thing, that's gone. That's been going for a couple of years now, but I would be shocked if he puts up with that nonsense.
They still
these guys are going to play.
He's still mad. If he's getting told by
ownership,
or the medical staff, like, this is what we want. This is how we keep him as fresh as possible. So we'll see. We'll find out. We'll find out if he's changed at all in terms of that. He may have. He has a little bit deeper here where he can run more guys out there, right? So we'll see if that helps him. You know what I mean? He's got a little deeper in each position that he can try some things out early on. But we'll get to the Phillies now. Before we wrap this up, we'll dedicate 10 minutes to 2 for 28. And listen, there's a lot of things. I mean, I had a bunch of shit last night. 3 for 36. Okay. That's not good enough. 1 for 28. Turner, Harper, Kyle, and Nick last 2 games. Phillies lost 4 or 5 after going up 2-0. Game 4 loss, up 5-2. JT has a chance to tackle on. He swings at a curveball that they hit a guy in the stands behind our dugout. All right, and doesn't tackle on. Rob, instead of going Hoffman in that situation like he did, which I agree with Sanchez, okay, after Sanchez, but then you have to go to Walker because now I need length. I need somebody to give me 3. So that's the perfect time to say, you know what, fresh inning, go attack it. He didn't. He brought in a 35-year-old who's never pitched well in Arizona because the splits say it. I said it when we signed him. All right, if anybody remembers that his numbers in Arizona were alarming. Everywhere else, he was really good. Really good. Everybody's like, oh, he's washed up. He's washed up. I'm like, no, I don't think he's totally washed up yet. I still think he can give you something, right? And he did give us something, but then he comes back. He threw 30-something pitches the day before. So he's 35 years old. Like I got to know that going into the game. I don't care if he tells me he's good. He's not going to have his best stuff. So I gotta then lengthen my pen somehow. This is where the thought process of Rob Thompson missed. You had a rookie shove it up her asshole twice. All right. Game 3, I'll give you because you never saw him. All right. There's too much goddamn money in this goddamn lineup. And first off, the first inning of game 7, you let him off the damn hook. That's it, because you swung at shit that's not even close. All right? Way too much money swinging at his pitches. No patience. Okay? So, I mean, the list goes on. Harper on the pickoff attempt to Carroll. Well, there's your game. There is your game. You want to know where the baseball game is? It's on that throw. That's where it started. That's where 1-0 happened. That's a pickoff. That's an out. That's Ranger making a great move over, and you got to make that throw on a dot. I don't care. I don't care how much time you got to first. I don't care. Okay, I need that play made in game 7. Why not Christian Pache with the bases loaded? Why not Jake Cave with the bases loaded in the 4th inning? All right, it's the 4th inning. It's do or die. Why not throw Cave in there versus a righty? The little things. Okay? Nick. Okay, you're up 2-1. There's a runner on third base. Less than 2 outs in game 7. Why are we uppercutting? Nick, go hit the baseball. I would rather have a double play than watch you with a feeble fucking at bat. Okay? There's another thing. Turner not getting the bunt down. Hey, $300 fucking million, you get the damn bunt down. And last but not least, this is not on any of this pitching staff. Okay? It's not. I'm going to riddle everybody that. It's not on fucking Nola. It's not on Ranger. It ain't on Kimbrel. Right? It's on the lineup went silent. A lot of money went silent. So you think you're winning? You think you're winning an NLCS with the type of numbers we rolled out there offensively? It was abysmal. Like, listen, babe. I get their slumps. You understand this? I coach it on a daily goddamn basis. I get it. Okay? And I teach it. I get it. But you can't roll 2 for 28 out there. You want to roll 6 for 28 out there? Be my guest. Because a 6 for 28 probably wins you the damn series. Shit. Okay? I sat here and I talked about the resiliency and all the extra bullshit. Okay? But at the end of the day, Bryce Harper is not the greatest athlete in Philadelphia until his baseball team wins a championship. That's how that goes. Okay, that's how it goes. This team isn't built. This team isn't designed to go to NLCS and lose. This team is built and spent money on to go win a World Series. There ain't no damn excuses. Freaking sick of it.
Especially to an inferior team.
Yeah, we overhyped a bunch of guys. That's what we did, myself included. They look bigger than life. You cannot, again, you're going to slump. Nick, you're not going to hit home runs at a Babe Ruth level or a Reggie Jackson level consistently, right? But you can't roll out an 0 for 23 after the fact.
No.
Can you mix in 2 hits? Like, again, probably win the series. Bryce, big home run in game 5. Love it. Okay? You disappeared in game 6 and game 7. You disappeared offensively. Okay, you hit a couple balls hardish. Hardish doesn't win. Okay?
Not when they don't fall. Not when they're out.
No. Turner, where'd you go? Schwartz, where'd you go?
7 for 44 runners in scoring position.
Yeah.
If that's 10 for 44, we win.
It's I don't know if you guys noticed the same thing.
Not one big hit.
No.
Not one big hit.
After game 2, it's like they got on that plane because game 2 was obviously that historic, the 6 home run game, something like that. It feels like that was 2 years ago, that game, right? Completely different team. As soon as they land in Arizona, I don't know if it's because they're feeling themselves. Who the hell knows? We're not going to play Dr. Phil psychology into the mind of an MLB, ball player. But ever since they landed in Arizona, all of their plate discipline completely disappeared. Swinging out of their shoes, swinging at pitches in the parking lot. No discipline, no presence whatsoever.
And what team did we just watch do that in the series before?
What, the Atlanta Braves?
Yeah, when you're trying to lose a baseball, you screw yourself into the ground. This is 101 little league type talk here. We're talking about with the amount of money on this in this goddamn lineup. Okay, this is little league shit. This is why I'm even more fired up. Okay, because when you try to lose it, you don't lose a baseball. That's how it works. When you try to stay through it, stay up the middle, stay on it, that's when you produce. God damn it. And all these swings aren't staying on a baseball. We watch them all. They're downright fucking feeble. I can't be more pissed off at a goddamn lineup because it's not like, oh, it's Arizona and they go silent. Okay, you're young. You're young. You haven't been here before. We've been here before just last year, and we're up 2-0. We don't know how to close.
But see, this is what really bothers me, right? Of the million things that should be bothering us over the last 24 hours. We convinced ourselves after last year, it was a fun ride. People still were saying that we weren't supposed to be here, even though if you look at the lineup and the pitching staff and the salary, it's kind of like, oh no, we were supposed to be here last year, right? But it's like, okay, we're bringing in Trey Turner. This is a stepping stool, right? Fine. Understandable. It was a hell of a lot of fun. It was a hell of a lot of fun until game 3 this year, right, of this series. But you go up 2-1 against Houston in the World Series. You don't win another game. Okay. Now you go this year.
You won that big game in game 3 where you hammered the baseball around the ballpark here, and then you went completely silent.
Yes. You go up in this series, 2-0. Start feeling yourself. You get on a plane. You lose complete identity of what got you here. Okay. You rebound. You go up 3-2 with 2 games left at home. You score 3 total runs. And you're quitting and slamming bats, and you look completely lost in every facet of the word at home.
Yeah, I don't have a just to be clear, I don't have a problem with Alec being mad.
No, that's fine. That's
like
fine.
I'm mad. Like I'm mad as a hitter. You know what I mean? Like I'm mad. I don't mind that emotion. That's a huge game. He cares. I'll take a million guys who care. right? But at the end of the day, it's on the big money guys. And it's not just, it's on Turner, or, it's just on Nick, or, it's just on Bryce, or, it's just on Schwartz. It's all of those guys, right? You can't not hit it all. So at the end of the day, like you said, 3 runs at home. Listen, I'll tell you, I'll leave you guys with 2 things. Two things. Aaron Nolan needs to be back on this baseball team. Actually, 3 things. Aaron Nolan needs to be back on this baseball team. Rhys Hoskins needs to be back on this baseball team. You want to win it? Rhys Hoskins needs to be back on this baseball team because you need it. And I think it's pretty clear when you score 3 runs at home in the last 2 games that you could use 30 home run guy. Probably could use him somewhere in your lineup. I think it would help you. Okay. Yep. And the other side of it is either Kyle, which I don't like as much, or Nick. One of the 2's gone, and I'm bringing in Juan Soto. I don't give a shit. If I'm going to go after it, I'm going to go after it because I need plate discipline. He's not perfect. Nobody is, right? But he's won. He's fucking won. So at the end of the day, he's won. He's won. We can think whatever we want about him. He's not perfect. I think it's a terrible situation in San Diego. So does he blame for it? Sure, he's get blamed for it, right? But he's still elite, and he's young. So it's not like you're going to sign a 32-year-old. He's not even in his prime yet. He's not even there yet, Greg. He's not there yet.
No, he's not.
What do you got to lose? You got everything to win. And our ownership's not worried about spending money. And I do trust if Dave Dombrowski's still here, which I don't know why he wouldn't be, that if Dave Dombrowski's still here, that he's going to make the right moves for this baseball team. So I have every belief that they will be back in the postseason next year with an opportunity again. The question is, how good are they at flushing it? That's the biggest question. And I think they're good enough. And I think if you bring Reese back, that really helps with the flush. I think his importance, locker room wise, we know it, we saw it, we need it.
There.
Yeah, that's true. I'll just add this really quick because and it's natural, right? Like a bunch of people talking about like, where's this rank? As far as like the heartbreaks of the last handful of years, right? Like, and personally, like, I don't think we can quite rank it just because it just happened, right? So of course it's going to feel
it's hard, but it's 1.
But that's what I was going to say. It's that it's worse. And I said this earlier. They're like, no, it can't be worse than 2011. It is. It is worse than 2011 because 2011, we get it. Amazing team. But that was in round 1. You were rounds away from getting the World Series. We were on the doorstep of it twice. This was the team for all of the reasons we stated, with the pitching, the hitting, everything, the culture, the freaking song, the fans, the atmosphere, everything. This was it. This was what it was being built for. You brought in Trey Turner. Oh, he's won before. You brought in Schwarber. Castellanos has a resurgence. You have the young guys start coming in. Nola's incredible. Wheeler's not even a freaking human. And you couldn't be, and credit to the Diamondbacks. It's not like taking a shot at them. But you couldn't be the Diamondbacks.
Yeah, but you saw a bunch of arms, and I always say this. Like, if you start seeing arms late in series that you've seen a lot, you got to get to them, man. Like, you got to make the adjustment as the hitter to get to them. And the fact that we were that feeble against their bullpen, which wasn't figured out until late August, is a big-time issue for me. It's a big-time issue for me. The fact that guys that shouldn't be mowing you down are mowing you down, it's a look in the mirror time. It's flat out look in the mirror goddamn time here in Philadelphia.
It was swing and miss too, Tommy. Like, to your point, like, and it wasn't like those guys had stuff. I mean, Paul Sewald's pumping 892, 93 right down the middle.
Oh, they can't see it. They can't see it. Okay, shut the fuck up. And at the end of the day, if you win another National League championship and go to another World Series, you get a lot more passes if you don't win it. Like at the end of the day, you're still a champion of your league. So at the end, like same with the Eagles.
$1,000 richer.
Yeah, if you get there, we're gonna be extremely hurt if you lose.
Sure,
but you're still beloved. Like we had a team here in Philadelphia go to numerous NFC title games and not win, right? But it was still a great time,
and we still asked for that run again, right? We still talk about it.
Great time.
That run.
And if you get there, you have a chance. Anything can happen if you get there.
Yes.
Yep. Anything can happen. You can't lose. Real quick, this is not worse than Sixers Hawks because that was the second round. That wasn't a chance to go to the finals. You blew a chance to go to the finals. If you tell me before the season that you have to win one game at home versus the Arizona Diamondbacks, or you can tell me in August, right? September, You got to win one game at home versus the Arizona Diamondbacks to punch your ticket to the World Series. I'm all in. I'm all in.
You had 5 chances to win 2, and you had 2 chances to win 1 at home. That, like, it's everything that the Hawks-Sixers series was, but it was on the doorstep for the World Series.
Yep.
Yeah, and I'll just add this, that, I really think the series was lost in that game 4. If, they win that game, I think hands down, they clinch it the next night, which, they won the game 6-1 in game 5. But I still believe that they would have held on to that lead, and would have, bullpen would have done its job. I believe the Phillies would have won the series in 5 games, hands down. But, it's just one of those things where, you're right, like you said, you're right on the doorstep, and they just couldn't get it done. And like you said, Tom, the big bats, when it came time to really step it up and everything was on the line, they failed in every sense of the word. Harper, Castellanos, Schwartz, they got to come up big in those situations. There's no excuse. You're getting paid a lot of money. No
One
excuse.
of you do. I get all 4 of you not, but somebody does. Somebody's got to get a big hit. Somebody's got to drive in a run.
And Blake, I think you're spot on with game 4. And regardless if you win game 5 or not, right? Because they're going to throw Gals, right? They're throwing Gowan in their must-win game, right? Mm-hmm. But to your point, you losing that game in that fashion in game 4 put all their mental, and all their momentum back to them. Right? They're like, we can play in this series, right?
Greg,
if you go up,
that's the smartest thing you've ever said. They now win 2 in a row, and now they know that it's not even a question anymore. It's not like,
even if they lose game 5, they're still in it.
They believe,
and that's 2 straight walk-offs too.
Yeah, right. and that's how momentum shifts. Smell this. I've been telling you all series. I've been telling you game 4, it's over, right? And I tell you that, and you guys laughed at me a little bit, but I felt it. Like you could just feel it in the air when you see everything shift in their favor, and then coming home, you could just feel it. Like I felt it. Like, dude, we're not going to win game 6. I'm like, we're not going to hit. And of course,
I read something today. And I read something today about the Garrett Stubbs quote. And you know what? Normally, it's just what happens, right? But if we clinch there, we're going to head right for the pool. And somebody said it today, and I read it, and I was just like, that, and you didn't think about it last night or throughout the week. You're like, all right, this team's confident. But whoever put it out was like, that was the first time that it felt like the Phillies were now overlooking the Diamondbacks.
Yeah.
Right? It was the first time that this team wasn't taking them as serious as they should until it's over.
Yeah, and that's a backup catcher. So I'll just say this back to it.
100%.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Bulletin board material is cute, but when you go 2 for 28, doesn't matter what.
There's no question. There's no question.
And I'll just keep circling back to that. You can say whatever. You can say Arizona stinks, and then you go 2 for 28, you stink. So if JT says it, I got a problem, right? If a guy in my starting 9 says I got more of a problem, I don't give a shit. At the backup drunk catcher. So at the end of the day, I love Stubbies, but at the end of the day, keep your mouth shut. To your point, you don't want to give them any bit of fire. They use that fire. They talked about it, but they only talk about it after they won. And you had a 5-2 lead after the conversation, and after you say that, and you lose that game like that in that fashion. Now, guess what? The bulletin board doesn't mean shit because they feel like they can beat you now. And in game 6, you saw it.
And the ghost of previous years came back to haunt us, right? We don't play well in Arizona. We didn't play well against the Diamondbacks just in general up until this year, right? We would go there, get swept in 4-game series, and they were nowhere near as good as us. But whatever happens, we go there, we play like shit, and we thought it was different because we thought this team was built different, and we thought this team was locked in. It wasn't going to happen this year because we're destined to get back to the World Series. Time's yours.
Yeah,
that played out well.
Like I said, and Tom, you'll get a kick out of this because you've met him before. But I talked to my grandfather after it was the travel day. We were up 2-0, and he was asking me, he's like, "What do you think of the series?" And I said, "I think they're going to win, obviously." But I said, I have a weird feeling that if they have to come back, if they have to play another game in Philly in this series, I think they're going to lose the series. And he's like old school. He's like, "What are you talking about? That they have all these opportunities?" I said, You have them. You have them. I'm not saying it's going to be a sweep, but I'm like, you have them. Like, don't play games. Don't play with your food right now. Like, you were so dominant in the first 2 games. Don't lose sight of yourself. And they lost sight of themselves.
Yeah, I mean, after the Rojas triple, or it wasn't after the Rojas triple, but when they had the opportunity to go up 6-2.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the little thing that they didn't do where Arizona started to do.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That was the difference. Like, okay, you get a sack fly, JT. Right now we're up 6-2. Nick, you get a sack fly, we're up 3-1. I mean, they're the little things that separate you as you get deeper into the season and you get deeper into the postseason. Like we always talk about warts will show. Well, little things will show too. Baseball is the biggest thing when you talk to kids or anybody. Like, hey, if I do all the little things right, I'm going to compete. That's the facts.
And how many times all season did we talk about this team doesn't do the little things right? They don't run the bases right. And then you had that, game 3 where Alec made 2 outs on the bases, right? That potentially changes what the lineup is, changes how, when does Harper come up? When does Schwarber come up, right? These big bats that early in the series were effective for you. It's just you sit there all year and you're like, oh, it's all right. They'll fix themselves in the playoffs. And lo and behold, those same issues that we had all season came to fruition down here and down the stretch.
It became home run or bust.
Yeah.
It was way too much of it.
I'll just add this and I'll shut up because it's depressing, this whole thing. But like all day long, I've had just these little images of all these plays the last 4 games just coming to my head. The Kirk ring not being able to throw a strike, and I'm not blaming him. Like, listen, he's a rookie, right? So like me, like I'm not like just saying like he was the blame, but like him not being able to hit a strike zone for like 6 straight pitches keeps repeating in my brain. From Game 7, Nick Castellanos up, bases loaded, and that freaking uppercut chop swing that he couldn't even make contact with. It keeps like these images. I can't get them out of my head, and I don't think I'm gonna be able to for a while. Like, that's what's going to sting with me. It's not the fact that they lost. It's not the fact that they're not playing for a World Series and we can't continue with this freaking song and all that. It's these images of all these instances, these little things like you talk about, Greg, that they can't do well, that if they would have done one of them, not all 7 that are repeating in my brain, one of them, we're playing in what, 2 days? We're still here.
Yeah, we're
previewing the World Series.
If we
go ahead,
I
was just going to say real quick, I want to add to Ryan's point that I don't know if you guys were watching the Diamondbacks pressers before Game 6, and what I took from this whole thing was that when they interviewed him, and I forget which reporter it was, it might have been a national reporter, and they asked him, well, what do you think going into these 2 games? And he didn't seem worried at all. He says, you know what we have to do? We're not playing what got us here in the first place. We have to go back to playing what got us here, and that's what they started doing, which the Phillies weren't doing. They were not playing small ball. They weren't doing the little things like you mentioned, Brian, and like you've mentioned, Greg. Like, if they had just done a couple of those little things, dude, we're playing Friday night in Texas, Game 1.
Well, it can't be. This is what happened, right? It's very simple. We watched it. They hit a bunch of home runs, and then what you got is, and we talked about these guys weren't like this, but what happened is you got a bunch of selfish fucking ABs. All right. Bunch of selfish goddamn ABs from this entire lineup. All right. That's what pisses me off. All right. So we keep doing this. I'm going to say things I don't mean. But there's a lot of selfish fucking at bats I have zero time for at this stage. All right. You just want to hit a home run every time. What are we talking about right here? Come on, guys. So
hero ball.
It is. Brett, thanks for the super chat. Need to invest in an actual closer. I'm not against it. So, there's not, again, this team isn't far off either. So, we're upset and emotional right now, as we should be, right? But, I'm really looking forward to see what happens in the wintertime. I'm really looking forward to see who's back with this baseball team, who's new to this baseball team. What do they think they need, right, on the back end to fix a couple of things that we saw that might be glaring. But at the end of the day, those 3 or 4 guys are still going to be here, and they got to produce in these spots. So, and if we're seeing more selfish shit, then that becomes a major problem. But, listen, I just hope it was just like, I hope it's a year that they're able to come back from and make a statement. I would hope that it would drive them to not have this happen again. Because there's two ways you can go as an athlete. You can quit on it, you can mope about it, or you can say, this is never going to happen again to me. Right? And as a baseball team. So if you go within the approach and use that as motivation, which I think this team would do, right, Greg?
It seemed like that. You're right.
They seem like that, right?
At least talk like it, right? The little bit that you hear, right? Castellanos taking the blame and being accountable, right? That's what we ask, right? Whether we believe it, you know what I mean? Accountability doesn't do us any good now that we lost, to your point. But at least it seems like this group holds themselves accountable
and they did.
To not make this happen again.
And they did, right? And which is good. There wasn't any excuses. There was none of that crap. I didn't get any feels of that. So that's always a positive. I do think that they're a baseball team that would use it as like Arcia motivation, right? In a way. Like they're going to use anything they can. When you're playing 162, you need stuff. So, I think what happened here can turn into a good thing for the Phillies next year, and we'll find out if it does. You know what I mean? We'll find out if it does.
Absolutely.
So, any closing thoughts, boys?
No, I have nothing. Just like this offense, I have nothing.
No. So, Sixers tomorrow night. I know somebody asked. We already talked about them, so you can go back and listen. Tomorrow night, I think they win. Let's find a way, boys. All right, guys. Great show, as always.
Stuff.
Appreciate everybody out there that tuned in to us tonight. Listen to us rant. Well, there's a couple things. We were happy about the Eagles. We were what we were about the Sixers. And obviously, we're at like 25 funerals in a row when it comes to the Phillies. So, tough times here in the city of Philadelphia, but it always could be worse, right? We could always not make the playoffs or be Drek. Yeah, we could be Drek. Okay, Mets put out what season was better. Is that real fucking life?
Yeah,
like
duh.
SNY in New York.
Cute to see other Braves fan come back too. Like, you were home 2 weeks ago. Cool talk.
Yeah, and Don, the Flyers do look good. They're tough. They're skating around, right? They're skating around. They're active. We'll see how that plays out, right? I think they are what they are, but it was
now
good
Don
to see.
Don's trying to get back in good with us. I saw his comment earlier. When am I going to see you guys on Broad Street? Yeah, I see you. I saw you, Don.
Go fuck yourself, Don. How about that?
I say that for you, buddy.
I say that out loud because you're my guy. You know what I mean? You're my guy. But,
James Franklin still sucks, Don.
Yeah, he's not good, Greg. But we knew that.
We knew that.
We knew that. Great show for Frank, Blake, Greg, Ryan. I'm Tom. We love you all. We thank you. And listen, we're going to hope for better days. But, again, could be worse. All three of our teams are right there. In a conversation to win, right? Which could be worse. Could be Eagles 5-12, right? We've been here before, right, boys? We've been here before, so we got to shake it off. We got to keep it moving, and we keep receipts for Martian. We keep receipts. What are you keeping them? What receipts from Don? Yeah, keep them. Somebody write them down. Maddie, thanks, brothers. It's a great show, guys. We love you. We appreciate you.
T Swift, is it T Sizzle reference on the back end? You got to shake it off. Come on, man. I see you, Tommy. I see you.
I'm gonna go listen to it right now. Great shit, boys. We'll see you next Wednesday night. Sixers start, and we're looking forward to covering them too. Well, I mean,
kind of.
That's it. We don't have to.